Coming to you live from Thirlestane Castle in Lauder for the 50th anniversary of the Borders Vintage Automobile Club annual extravaganza. And because of the 50th anniversary celebrations, there's a distinct 70s theme about the event. Well, now, with me today, and indeed in the 2 weeks' time at the Royal Island Show and in 3 weeks' time at Duns for the big Jim Clark motoring event, are three legends of the airways, Stuart McFarlane, Hugh Brown and Grahame MacGregor. And they'll be guiding us through proceedings, talking to some very interesting people indeed. So plenty of great things coming up right here on Summer Breeze on TD9 Radio. So without further ado, let's bring in the dynamic trio. We'll start with the only one of us who wasn't actually around when the BVAC started in 1975, and that's Stuart McFarlane. Stuart, we arrived at 10 o'clock this morning, lovely sunshine. It's in full swing now.
Yeah, I think that revelation will astonish people, the fact that I wasn't actually around until a couple of years later. But yes, here we are, and a landmark year for the BVAC, and it's wonderful because I can remember going back certainly to the early 80s as a very young boy going to Mellerston, and I have recollections of what it was like then and how it has grown over time, so much so that the organisers had to relocate. And Mellerston was a fabulous setting, but where we are today and where we've been in past years covering this event, it's equally majestic.
It certainly is. Now, Hugh, you used to be a weatherman for STV, so you know to take things with a bit of a pinch of salt. It said we were going to get rain today. We haven't had any so far.
We haven't. It's actually dry, as you mentioned, Stuart. The sun has been out. It's gone a wee bit cloudy, but I think we'll escape the showers this afternoon, I predict. So there we are. I'll probably be proved totally wrong. It's my first time at the event, actually, and I'm really overwhelmed by how spectacular it is and how much is going on, actually. It's just so busy. There's hundreds and hundreds of people here, and all the stall holders, the car owners. There's just something for everyone here today.
And it really is buzzing, isn't it?
It really is. It's tremendous and lovely to see an event like this, particularly in its 50th year. And as you and I do remember the 70s, sadly, and and the flares and the Bay City rollers and all the rest of it.
Have you found anyone yet in the old flares and stuff?
I haven't seen anybody in costume yet.
So it's just yourself, the medallion, the hairy chest and the flares?
Yeah, don't
and the
tell
dark
everybody.
Glasses.
I thought you'd the dark glasses.
Absolutely. Now, Grahame MacGregor is with us as well, no stranger to this place, of course. And in fact, a couple of years ago, you and Stuart hosted the Jacky Stewart event here, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a pretty massive event, obviously, and a one-off, as it turned out to be. A great extravaganza on behalf of Jacky Stewart's charity, of course. But here, of course, I wasn't around for the 50th year either. No, I wish. This is a wonderful event, and it's got its home now here and now for quite a number of years. And the addition in the last 3 years of the Hill Rally, just to add a different dimension to it, two different aspects merging together, as it were, quite happily in the same day. How do we walk round? Obviously, looking at a number of the stands and so on, as we were picking up some of the little interviews that hopefully your people are going to be hearing very shortly, and the range of things to interest people, even if they're not necessarily specifically interested in cars, is quite considerable. There's obviously the food, there's that you can just relax in what is now a reasonably sunny day, a bit warmer as well, thankfully. And so it's all going excellent. I think it's just fantastic, and we look forward after or during this programme, perhaps, when we get a chance to go out and see some of the things ourselves.
Absolutely. So stay tuned all the way through until 5 o'clock today, live from Thirlestane Castle here in Lauder. And to kick things off, quite appropriately, I think it's Keith Watson, the BVAC chairman and event manager, and he's going to be talking right now to Stuart McFarlane.
Yeah, Keith, thank you very much for joining us here in the studio. It's great that you've been able to wrestle yourself away from so many activities to talk to us today.
That's great, thanks, Stuart. I have been trying to hide and keep away from everybody and let everybody get on with their jobs, but the radio keeps squawking, and various things need dealt with as they happen. But can I just correct Stuart on one thing?
I was going to mention the date.
The club was actually formed in 1972, so it's over 50 years old. We had our 50th anniversary for the club a few years ago. It's the 50th show because we had 3 cancelled: foot and mouth, COVID, and can't remember what the other one was for, but there was 3 shows cancelled in that time, so that brings us up to the 50th show.
Wouldn't be a petrol shortage in 1979, no? I know that had
Foot
an
and
impact
mouth?
on the Jim Clark rally. No, he mentioned the foot
I
and
don't
mouth.
think
and,
I don't remember that far back, and that's because of old age and forgetful memory.
In 72, you had a handful of enthusiasts that established the club, as you say. So fast forward to 2025, and after a lengthy spell at Mellerston, you find yourself at Thirlestane, and it seems to be a perfect fit. You know what you can bring here and what the venue offers you.
It works very well because of the open expanse in front of the castle, and with the backdrop of the castle, it's a magnificent setting for any sort of show, but especially the car show. We are now we have been recognised as a major event in the Borders. We are now probably in the top 2 or 3 of car shows in the north of England and Scotland. We have approximately, there was a few call-offs, but around 950 vehicles exhibited today, as well as all the crafts and traders and auto jumblers, and we get a big mix. It's a big day for a one-day show, and there's something, as you said, for everybody.
What's the demographic like then for the people that are here as part of the exhibit, bringing cars? Because looking from the outside, there'd be an expectation that they'd be of a certain age, maybe 50, 55 plus. Is that the case all round?
It's probably the bulk of the case, but what we try and do, especially with the BVAC, is we're trying to encourage younger people. Now, you know, the big problem with a lot of single-make classic car clubs is that these cars haven't been made for a long time. Now, somebody in their 40s, their idea of a classic car is a mid-80s Peugeot 205 GTI, whatever. So we've got to encourage these people to come forward and keep the clubs and things going and keep shows like this going and not just get stuck in the past, as it were.
Yeah, so gradually as time moves on, you need to open out the offering to, as you say, people that maybe have a collection and interest in early 80s models, and then that will then become early 90s models and so on as time goes on.
As long as they keep making petrol engines, we'll keep having people interested. Whether the electric car scene ever gets to the stage of the classic car scene, we'll wait and see. The jury's out on that one.
Traders as well are playing an important part in a deal like this, because you've so many traders offering again such a wide variety of items for sale. Yes,
we go through this sort of craft village, lots of different crafts. I've got to hold my hand on my heart here and say I haven't managed to make it up there yet to have a look round it, but we've had a big response, and we've got a lot of different things up there. In days gone by, it was the top of the field with the auto jumblers and the bits and pieces for cars. That's expanded greatly now.
And just to finish off with, you'll not know as early as 2 o'clock on the day of an event just how many people have come through the gates. The vast majority will already be here, but just looking from the castle steps, you've got a substantial number of people in once again.
There is a very good crowd in. I was along at the gate looking down, and the car parks look pretty full. It's in days when we only had the one car park, it looked chock-a-block, but we've now got two car parks for people coming from different directions to ease the traffic flow. We've changed the traffic management this morning, and I'm sure that people in Lauder will have noticed that it's not quite as congested in the middle of the town. So hopefully, as things progress, we'll work things out and get better and better, which we've done for 50 years now.
Well, Keith, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure you've appreciated being able to sit down for a little while and draw breath at least.
Yes. Yeah, thanks very much, Stuart, and I appreciate the publicity we're getting from you. Thanks very much.
No problem at all. That's Keith Watson, chairman of the BVAC, and Stuart McFarlane, of course, talking as well. Musically, let's kick things off from 1972, and this is music from Slade. So music from the great Noddy Holder and Slade all the way back to 1972. 51 years old, that one now. Who can believe it? Well, I've been joined live at Thirlestane Castle by the man who spends more time in this particular room than anyone else, I think, as we've converted his office into our studio today. Our thanks for that. And it's Edward Maitland-Carew. Have I pronounced that correctly?
You have, yes.
Oh, that's good. Now, it's a fantastic place to be here at Thirlestane Castle? I mean, I've enjoyed being here sort of over the years, etc. I mean, you must love the place.
Well, yes, and I'm very fortunate to be able to call it my family home. And we live in one wing of the castle with the family, my 2 children and my wife. And I took over from my father when he retired 12 years ago now.
12 years you've been here?
Yes. Well, I was born and bred here. So I lived here really all my life before I moved down to London. I went to Newcastle University, then worked in London, and then came back here to run the reins.
What's it like having a castle?
Oh, goodness me. Well, it's a family home, and it gives me goosebumps every time I drive up the drive. I mean, It's the most magnificent building. It's got the history of Scotland in it, the history of the family, dating back to 1590. And I just feel very honoured and very proud to call it my family home. And it's the way that we want our kids to grow up as well. And it just happens to be a castle, and I just feel as if I am the custodian of the castle just for this generation.
Tell us a little bit about the history there. You mentioned about the 16th century.
Yes.
So tell us what's happened since then to the place.
Well, it was built in 1590 by John Maitland, first Baron Maitland, and it was a fortified castle. It was a fort, really. And then in 1670, with the Duke of Lauderdale, he did the second development of it. And the final development of the castle was 1840, where the 2 wings were put on, is what it is now. And actually, in 1840, so the 9th Earl of Lauderdale, who did the final renovation of it, was a bachelor, and it wasn't big enough for his parties, so he built and expanded it.
Incredible. And it really, I mean, how many acres is the whole thing?
Well, surrounding the castle, there sort of grassland, there's about just under 2,000 acres.
And it is open to the public, of course. And when they do come for tours here, what are the things that they must look out for?
The castle's open to the public, to the day visitor, and the ceilings are absolutely fantastic. Date back to 1670, George Dunsterfield and sort of his team of Dutch plasterers, and people come from all over the world to see them with the gold gilds and sort of the plasterwork, horsehair plasterwork. And it's some of the finest architecture you'd ever see, with eagles flying out against the wall, out of the ceilings. And it's all hand done, sort of a labour of love, and they're remarkable. And I would strongly recommend anyone who loves old buildings or loves ceilings to come and have a look.
And I mean, having an event like this here as well is a tremendous showcase for the castle.
Yes, it's our flagship event, and we are so lucky to be able to host it. The BVAC, the Board of Vintage Automobile Club, they very much run the show. I'm on the committee, but what they put together is absolutely fantastic, and they're all volunteers, and we work very closely with them, and we feel very honoured to have it here. And we get some fantastic cars, and I know you were speaking to Keith earlier. 950 plus cars out in the field, and hopefully 10,000 plus people looking at them. So we're very lucky to host it, and it's great for the Scottish borders to bring events like this here, and we're just very fortunate that we can host them.
And it's been about 20 years, I think I'm right in saying, that you had the BVAC here. Is it around about 20
Yes,
years?
well, it was about 2009, I think, they came from Melliston, and that was actually my father that brought them over, because we used to have the horse trials here.
That's right, yeah.
And so we always try and have one major flagship event, and Melliston, it got too big for Melliston, and they wanted to go a different direction, so my father took the opportunity to invite them to come here, and we've built and grown ever since. And what really helped us was the Sir Jacky Stuart Classic in 2022, when Sir Jacky very kindly came here, raising money for his wife, dementia, Race Against Dementia, and we had Red Bull Formula 1 car going up, we had Sir Jacky raced his Matra up the drive, as well as 50, 60 other supercars, and Rolex sponsored it. So that was a most wonderful event, very, very exciting, sleepless nights, as you can probably imagine. But to get Sir Jacky and Alain McNish, Dario Franchitti here, and showcase, and actually to quote Sir Jacky when he was talking about the BVAC and the classic car show here, because it was very prominent in 2022, he said it's one of the finest concours of elegance he's seen in the world.
Wow.
And that includes Palm Beach, it includes Hampton Court. So it really it is the most wonderful show, and for someone like Sir Jacky to say that, and quote saying that, it is a huge credit to the BVAC for the show that's now 50 years old.
And the trend as well, I mean, obviously down the road at Kelso, the Floors Castle, they've gone into the music side of things quite successfully. Is this something that might be on the agenda in the future?
Never say never. We always keep all our options open.
Has anyone approached you?
I couldn't possibly comment. We are very sensitive to Lauder, that's very close.
Yeah.
So I'm on the community council, we work very closely with Lauder. And so we're very sympathetic to what they want as well and what the Scottish Borders wants. But what Floors are doing, they're doing hugely successfully. And we sort of work very closely sort of with them on different things. And we all work together to try and create the Scottish Borders into as great a destination for Scotland and the UK as we possibly can, and having these different events at different places just helps put us all on the map and hopefully raise awareness what an amazing place the Scottish Borders is, not just for cars, not just for music, but actually is a beautiful place to come and visit and stay.
Well, it really is a fabulous place, and delighted to come here and broadcast from Thirlestane Castle today. So many thanks to you and your team for allowing us to do that.
Not at all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, for a bit of fun today, what we've done is delved into my own archives to dig out some of the old interviews that I did with 70 stars back in the day. Sadly, some of them are no longer with us, including the first one, who I thoroughly enjoyed talking to many decades ago. He was the lead singer of Mud, and that, of course, was Les Gray. And one of the many things I asked him was how the number one hit, Oh Boy, originally a Buddy Holly song, of course, ended up being the first or the second number one single for, of course, the band.
We only did it as a relief, really, as opposed to all the other songs on the album that were all like bash, 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 rock and roll. We thought, well, that would be nice. That would just be a change as a relief track, you know, to give somebody a change, you know, when they're playing the whole album through. Mickey Mouse said to us, he said, that's going to be the next single. And I said, he's trying to murder us. We're just giving our notice in that we were going to leave. I said, he's trying to kill us. That's it. He's trying to finish our careers. That's it. Cut me throat. You know, all the stuff. The next thing, the bloody thing went straight in number 3, I think, and then it was number 1 the next week.
Yeah, incredible success.
A whoosh like that. So Mickey was right.
$1 million question. What's your all-time favourite? Is it Tiger Feet or Dynamite? I think it could be.
Dynamite, I think, really. It's a blaster, you know, like you can get everything out of it, you know, because there's some nice little tuneful bits in it, and the on and ons and on and on and on and on and on, and you get good harmonies in there, but at the same time it's still got the big bashing rock and roll. It goes down well, and I enjoy it.
Great song, wasn't it? Dynamite by Mud. Not a number one, but a sizable hit and the favourite song of lead singer Les Gray. More stars of the 70s interviews a little bit later on in the programme. But right now we're hooking up with Grahame MacGregor, who visited the Jim Clark Trust earlier on today and spoke to Doug Niven, cousin of the late Jim Clark, and of course a trustee as well.
Well, I've got with me here Doug Niven of the Jim Clark Trust, a regular visitor here, but of course in your mind will be what's happening in 2 weeks' time, a big weekend here and again in the Borders, but at Duns, commemorating yet again Jim Clark.
Yes, well, we're here again at Thirlestane, and it's good to catch up with you once again. Yet another motorsport event, or classic car event. And we're really here today just to sort of publicise what we do in the museum for Jim Clark, but also mainly to advertise the event that you mentioned that's being held at Duns Castle on the 28th, 29th of June. And that's to commemorate 60 years since Jim won both Indianapolis 500 and came first in the World Championship, Formula One World Championship. He won that. Also, he won the Tasman Series from down under, New Zealand and Australia. And he also won the Formula 2 Championship for both France and UK. So it was a tremendous year where I think it was about 63 races he did that year.
Because 2 years ago you had the commemoration of 63, 2 years beforehand when Jim won his first championship, but 65 was an even more memorable year, as you've just been saying, and this is going to be, as a consequence, a bigger event.
Yeah, well, that year was still unique in the fact that Jim was the only driver to have done both, won World Championship and Indianapolis in the same year. But and last year, in 1964, Jim won the British Touring Car Championship as well. And as we know, today's drivers drive one car, one race, where in the old days they were doing sports cars, saloon cars and Formula One cars. And this event, 60 years on, is the big one. And Goodwood are also commemorating Jim at the revival as well later in the year. And 60 years on, you just wonder, another 10 years from the commemorate it.
That's Jim Clark Rally trustee Doug Niven there talking to Grahame MacGregor.
Community radio for Hoyt. This is TD9 Radio.
This is Summer Breeze coming to you live from the Thirlestane Castle in Locorriere, and many stands out there today, of course. And one of them, I'm delighted to say, is Borders Competitions. Now, Borders Competitions have been going for a wee while now. Jack Crowe is with me. Jack Crowe, you're the founder member, really, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Started the business about 2 years ago, and just been building every day. Every day's been a different day for sure. A lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and it keeps me very busy. But I'm glad to be able to be in this position and come and help out some local communities and events like this one. It's a really busy day actually. I've had loads of interest and loads of people coming up asking about the cars that we brought. So yeah, it's really great to actually meet people in person, because usually I'm just behind the screen.
That's right, doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things as well. But you're down there on the green as well. You've got the prime position, haven't you, next to the Sporting Bears?
Oh, they sorted me right out.
Yeah, it's terrific, but there's queues going back everywhere, so you're attracting a lot of interest. A lot of people know about Borders Competitions, but those who don't, tell us about Borders Competitions.
Yeah, so we're a locally based competition site where we are online. We have a website, but we're open to the whole UK, but we predominantly focus on local charities and community stuff. We do help further afield, but I like to go in person and actually see the difference the money's making from the draws. Now every draw we do cash, cars, holidays, you name it. We try get the ticket prices low, maybe 5p lowest it'll go, and then you buy a ticket to get a chance of winning the main prize basically. And we do instant wins as well, where you can instantly win off your ticket number. It's all randomly generated. Do live draws on the Facebook and just try and have a good laugh and interact with all the followers.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? And,
yeah.
And you're basically, obviously it's called Borders Competition, so there's a lot of people who, don't want to go into these national draws because they think, well, it's billions to one and all the rest of it. But with you, what is interesting is that you can actually see who the winners are. You did a 150 grand one recently, and someone from Eyemouth, I think, won that.
That's right, yeah.
Money, life-changing money prize, and you're straight over to him.
I went to the house that night.
But I mean, it's the believability thing, and there's so many, isn't it? There's so many competitions, there's lotteries and stuff, and A, you've got a completely different sort of outlook on it, but B, people like to know who are they, how genuine is it, and you've kind of ticked all those boxes.
I try and be as transparent as possible. There's some have different rules and stuff like that, but I'm just by the book, and I always guarantee the prize. So if a draw loses money, we still give away the prize, and it's always very transparent. You can see how many tickets there are, all the winners that have been won. A lot of people opt out from their photo being posted on social media, which is fine. But we do have a lot of winners that are like happy to be on the page, and one of them actually let me come to their house live on the Facebook on the night he won 150 grand, and it was just amazing to see his family. They were absolutely ecstatic. So.
And I mean, that must be the fun part of it, isn't it? When you're basically changing people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because obviously I don't know what's going on in each winner's life, but when they do win, and sometimes I find out a few months later, like, oh, I actually got a new car from the money, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know. Like, and some people are going through hard times, and the money just helps them out. But obviously, people don't really tell you that sort of stuff.
So where did the idea come from then? Because you went to school in Hoyk, is that right? Hoyk High
No,
School?
I went to Duns.
Oh, you went to Duns, Berwickshire.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
well,
I'm a dinger.
All right, that's right. We mustn't give you credit where credit isn't due then. So where did this kind of eureka moment come from? Because, I mean, it's like you look at Dragon's Den and stuff, and there's people who want to be entrepreneurs. And, I mean, just watching one episode of Dragon's Den, for instance, I mean, I just love sitting down watching it, and it inspires me. So did something like that inspire you?
To be honest, it was like you said. There's so many online, and the Borders didn't really have one. So I was like, well, why not? I'll try and bring it to the Borders. And it took a while to get started. I had no idea it would get to this sort of level. And I mean, we started with £50, giving a £50 away. I chucked all my last savings at it, £500.
Wow.
And it's funny because my dad, he usually always helps me out. Like he paid for my offshore course because I worked offshore for a little bit. And he was raging. He was like, the one thing I didn't invest in was Borders competitions. So, yeah, it's absolutely flown off. And the inspirations came from other websites. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try and make my own and bring it to the Borders.
And you've put your own stamp on it, haven't
Yeah.
you? Which is really important. And as you say, the transparency there, the kind of prizes that you're giving away, and of course, the amount that's going to charity as well. And that's something which is really dear to you.
Yeah, these competition sites, they don't. You don't have. There's no requirement to give anything to charity. So, if they do give to charity, it's on their own behalf, and I love to do that. I mean, I'm in a fortunate enough position where I can help people, and it's brilliant. I get to go around charities and actually see the difference it's doing. Like, we've done an animal charity, Bark in Berwick, and they were getting a whole new conservatory built for the animals, and the money went straight into that. And it's amazing to see in person.
You must sleep well at night then.
Sometimes. When it's draw day and we're 60k down, it's quite scary.
Yeah, because it can go both ways, can't it? If you don't keep up the pressure, you know. So I mean, you've been going just over a couple of years now?
2 years,
Yeah. What's the ambitions for the business?
To be honest, I'm looking at getting someone in, a few people to maybe help me out, because it's getting to that point now where I've got no life really. And I do love it. I absolutely love it. But, sometimes it takes over your personal life a little bit, and it would help me so much if I had someone else to come in. So that's the ambition: grow the business, change more lives, do more for charities, and just keep it fresh.
Yeah. Any more ideas in the pipeline? Any big draws come up? There must be.
No, I was looking. This is a secret actually, but property.
No one else is listening. It's okay. Carry on.
Property.
Oh, property.
Yeah. So I was even thinking like a static caravan, like at a holiday park maybe, just to start off with, because you can get a decent one for maybe 70,000, 80,000 £80,000 maybe, something like that. I would love to do a house draw, but because we're in the borders, it's like, where would I do it? Like,
it's got to be Melrose, isn't it?
Melrose.
The prices in Melrose are insane.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh God.
So that would be a good one, wouldn't it?
It's just like, how would I would need to speak to like a property developer and maybe try and figure out. Because if they take the cash, I'm like, well, I've got a house now, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but it's all fun, isn't it? I suppose you're in the middle of the night and you're thinking, we can do this. Is that you, basically?
Yeah, I'm basically just, I'm like, I wake up and everyone's like, oh, what's your plans? I'm like, I don't know. Just live every day differently, and everything's just out of the book.
Yeah, well, I've been following you very closely, not in a stalking sort of way, but certainly with a great interest, and I think you've done a wonderful job. So many congratulations, so and I'm sure you'll have a good day today.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you for having me on the show as well.
No problem. Oh, I haven't heard that in a long time. Not the biggest of careers for Paul Evans, but a song which made number 6 in 1978, and all the music today is from the 1970s. Now, he had a couple of other hits, one in 1959, another in 1960, but to have your only 3-hit singles spread across 3 different decades was certainly pretty impressive. Okay, you listen to Summer Breeze with me, Stuart Cameron, and Grahame MacGregor, and also Hugh Brown and Stuart McFarlane. We're live from Thirlestane Castle. It's the BVAC 50th event, and we'll have more from that right after the break.
Community radio for Hawick. This is TD9 Radio.
Since 1972, the BVAC has been a club for all those who share a passion for classic cars and motoring. Outside of organising today's 50th anniversary BVAC Classic, the club organises social meets, drive-out days, and attends other classic car shows. And the club is always looking to welcome new members to attend events. In particular, the club would like to welcome new young members and volunteers who share our passion for motoring and want to help the club continue to thrive for the next 50 years. So get in touch at our website at bvac.org.uk.
The Border's newest Chinese fully licensed restaurant and takeaway is now open in Selkirk. The Red Lantern in Westport is open on Sundays, Tuesdays to Thursdays from 4 till 9, and Fridays and Saturdays till 10 o'clock. A home delivery service is available throughout the Borders. And now, every Wednesday, we have a special offer for eating in at the restaurant. For £21.50 per person, order as much food as you like from the menu, cooked from scratch. Full details at 01750 663 330. That's 01750 663 330.
Want to find out more about your family history? The Scottish Borders Archives is at Scotland's People Centre, where you can have unlimited access to one of the world's best online sources of family history information for only £15 a day. The expert team at Scottish Borders Archives are trained in genealogy and happy to advise on a range of resources from wills, birth and death certificates, and so much more. If you're unable to visit, why not try the remote research service and discover more about the heritage of the Scottish Borders? Borders. Visit www.liveborders.org.uk and search for Scotland's People to find out more. Or give us a call today on 01450 360 699.
Yes, hope you're enjoying your sunny afternoon. We certainly are here at the Thirlestane Castle. 2:45 is the time. Grahame MacGregor is out and about.
Well, I'm out in front of the castle just now, and there's quite a lot of enthusiasts here, and I've got a gentleman here. Who are you, sir?
Paul Boyle.
And Paul, where are you from, and why are you here today specially?
From Morpeth. We come along each year to the fantastic event with all complete eclectic mix of cars. Anyone who likes cars, whatever age, this is a place to be. It's tremendous.
Is there any particular market you're interested in, or is anything that's here really catches your interest, really?
Well, actually, I like all, but particularly the Jaguars and some of the older Jaguars, so sort of XKs, etc. And my colleague next to me had an XJS, so we're both of that sort of vintage. I have owned Jaguars in the past as well.
And what do you think of this particular show here in this wonderful setting at Thirlestane Castle?
Well, I think you'd struggle to beat this. I mean, it's fantastic, the backdrop of the castle, and the way it's laid out, and it's very easy to walk about. Full access to cars, everyone's so friendly, and I think really there's something for everybody. Would you agree, John?
I would. We were just saying before that there's nothing near Newcastle on this scale. There's nothing really in Durham, Northumberland. Yeah.
And of course, Newcastle's not that far to travel here to the borders.
No, it's not. No, it's a beautiful drive up on the Carter Bar Road. So that's part of the treat as well.
Your friend says you were a Jaguar owner.
Yes, I was. Yes, I had an XGS for a while, which I had to fly down to Bishop Stortford from Whitley Bay. I had to fly down and with my money in my bag and trust the owner that it was going to be fine. He says, "I'm really worried about you driving it back to Whitley Bay because I've never gone further than the local pub in it before." So, a 300-mile drive up to Newcastle, but it did it fine.
And have you managed to search out an XJS here today?
I haven't seen one here yet, no.
So we've got that to come. So we sort of wander about, and we had a little bite to eat in the lovely food section. And so we've still got to discover quite a few cars yet, so there's time yet.
Yeah, that's definitely.
So a grand day to enjoy yourself.
Fantastic day. I would thoroughly recommend it to anybody.
It stayed off as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't rain here, for goodness sake.
There he is, Grahame MacGregor, who's about a couple of hundred yards away. I can just about see him in the distance there. But our studio, literally in the castle by the main steps, and just outside the side door, we have the Sporting Bears, who we'll hear more about a little bit later on. To the right of the main steps, and also to the left, taking pride of place, are loads of cars from the 1970s. And we've sent Hugh Brown outside to find out a little bit more about them. Come in,
Yes.
Hugh.
Hello there, Stuart. Yes, indeed, I am live at the front of Thirlestane Castle. It is a 70s theme this year because, of course, it is the 50th show of 1972. As you heard, the BVAC started, but the first show was 1972. But the show was I got that wrong. 50th anniversary of the show. That's right, got that right. And so for the 70s, we've got a whole lineup of 70s cars out here in front of Thirlestane Castle. A beautiful venue and setting, looking right the way across all the stands and all the other cars. I'm delighted to be joined by a couple of the car owners now. One of them is William Grahame. William, tell us about your car. It's a Lancia. It's not a Lancia I have heard of, I have to confess.
You must be younger than you look then, Hugh.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
It's a Fulvia Coupe. It was designed in 1962-3, the Series 1. This one is a Series 2 car, which went up to 1972. And then there were Series 3 cars after that went on for another 2 or 3 years. It's based on the Lancia cooking saloon car, the Fulvia, the small saloon. This one is a coupe, so just a two-door, two-seater, with a shelf for legless dwarfs in the back. But a reasonable boot, great car for touring in, great fun, very quick, nice handling car. But you can put your wife in it, go to Italy and collect an awful lot of shoes if you want, if that's what you need to do.
If that's what your thing is, I suppose, yes. Now, my mum actually did have a Lancia many years ago. It was a Lancia Spider, a bright orange one. Why they got that, I have no idea. The problem with it was rust. After a couple of years, literally, it began to rust. Has that been a problem at all for you?
Not for me. This one is very well preserved, thanks to a lot of previous owners who undersealed it and stuff, but it is a problem. Lancias in the 80s and 90s were actually made out of steel which was already rusty. Italy was buying steel from all over the place, mostly Russia, recycled washing machines and things like that. and the government was pushing car manufacturers to build cars as quickly as they could, and they didn't take as much care on quality as they should have done. The 70s was a bit of a low point for quality in Italian cars. So you quite often say slam the door and the trim would continue across the car and out the other side. But if you've got one and it's a complete one and you can weld, you can get it back to original.
You're very proud of your car, obviously.
I am extremely proud of it. It's a very pretty little car. It attracts an enormous amount of interest wherever it goes, and it's a very unusual piece of engineering. It has a very unusual, very compact V4 engine to reduce the weight over the front axle. Lancia were idiosyncratic people. So, for example, the horn button doesn't sound the horn, it flashes the lights. The light button flashes the horn. So lots of things like that. Has a dogleg gearbox, so first is where second is normally and vice versa. So it catches you out every time you drive it, but you soon get used to it.
And Lancia, they didn't last that long making cars, did they?
They didn't. They started very early. The company was founded by a guy called Vincenzo Lancia, who first worked for Ceriano, who made bikes in Italy in the 1900s, and he very quickly went to work for Fiat. He was a Fiat race driver in 1905, 6, 7, very successful. He went on to found his own company, built cars of impeccable engineering, beautiful design. He didn't give two hoots about making money, and the result of that was by 1955, 1960, his company was on its uppers financially, and it struggled on till the late 70s when Fiat actually acquired the company. Lancia still builds cars in Italy under the Fiat banner, but they're not imported into Britain. They haven't been for 20 years, I suppose, maybe longer. The last car they imported was a thing called the Y10, known locally as the White Hen. But you can still buy a Lancia in Italy.
Well, it's lovely to see a pristine example of a Lancia, and that you've kept it so well. So thank you very much indeed for joining me this afternoon.
It's my pleasure. It's good to talk to you.
William, thank you. I also have with me Chris Biggs, and this is going to take me down memory lane because Stuart was going to ask us what our first car that we had was, and mine is here. It's Chris's car in a different colour, albeit. Tell us about it, Chris.
It's a Morris Minor 1000 Traveller.
And the thing that makes it distinctive are the wooden panels on the side and the back.
Yes, indeed. There were lots of variants of the Morris Minor, all of which were popular. But the Traveller was unique because the wood is completely structural, so it's very, very important to the car. It's what holds it together and makes it rigid, which is why people who have problems with the wood have to have it replaced.
It's interesting because we've got a 70s group of cars, but I would associate the Morris Minor more with the 60s.
Yes, indeed. Well, it came into being, of course, in 1948, can you believe, an Alex Isigonis design, and it went right...
Who designed the Mini, of course.
Indeed he did, yes, 1959. But the Morris 1000 range went all the way on till 1971. There's hardly ever been a car which has had such a long production run. They were so popular. They did, of course, modernise it a little bit over time as it went through, but basically it remained the same car. It was the first large mass production post-war car in Britain, and that's why it was affordable and it became many people's first car ever. So it's really nice to bring it to this show and other shows because so many families have got a Morris Minor story.
The one that my dad bought me when I was 17, it had my number plate on it, 888 HRB, and I still have that plate. I've had it on every car I've ever had for all those years, since 1978 actually, when my dad bought it for me just after I passed my driving test. And it cost him 75 quid, and you bought the car to get the number plate, and in those days it was £5 to transfer the number plate. Now, of course, it's £80 straight to the government.
Indeed.
But it's still worth it, and I wouldn't change that number plate for the world. It's been, as I say, in every car I've ever owned. But mine was a green one. Yours is a beautiful blue colour that I've not seen before.
Yes, it's Trafalgar blue. Trafalgar blue, which is a very deep, dark blue. It's got a very good lustre to it. It was a standard BMC colour, and it was used on one or two other models too, but not for very many years. So you got a 2 or 3 year run of the colour, and then it disappeared. But it is a colour that people like. They often remark on it.
I love the upholstery as well. It's beautiful light blue leather.
Yes, it's very nice, and it obviously goes well with the dark blue body. It's a nice contrast. It's a very pretty car, albeit a utilitarian one.
As I say, it does bring back so many memories. As soon as I saw it, I thought, my goodness, that's fantastic, and it took me right back to my very first car. So thank you for bringing it to Thirlestane. I'm sure you've had a wonderful afternoon telling people all about it, just as you have to the listeners of TD9 Radio. Thank you.
Indeed, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Chris Biggs, thank you very much indeed, owner of that lovely Morris Minor Traveller, absolutely amazing. Out here in the front of Thirlestane Castle, Stuart, as we mentioned, it is a 70s theme and loads of 70s cars, and we have everything from a Volkswagen Beetle, we've got a Lotus, we've also got a beautiful blue Rolls Royce that I'm standing right next to just now, along with an MG along the far end. It is just a whole smorgasbord of 70s, 60s and 70s cars, classics, each and every one of them. Such a delight to be here this afternoon and look at them.
You're getting all misty-eyed.
I am.
And you mentioned about your first car there that you've seen. Mine was a Triumph Dolomite in royal blue, but I tend not to admit it publicly. But now, of course, everyone knows Hugh's number plate, personalised number plate as well. So the target for vandalism, no doubt, in the future. Thank you very much indeed. That's Hugh Brown out and about at the moment. Now, earlier I played a clip of the late Les Gray of Mud talking to me about two of their biggest hits, but we're going back to hear from another star from the 70s, sadly no longer with us. This time we'll hear a clip from Brian Connolly, lead singer with Sweet. He told me back in the day that Sweet had the first pick of all those great Chin and Chapman songs, which were so successful for many acts like Susie Quattro and Mud and Smokey and others as well. And as you hear, Brian told me that he turned down some of the great songs that went on to become hits for others.
I turned down Tiger Feet.
Why did you turn down Tiger Feet?
Well, I didn't think it was us.
And of course, Tiger Feet stopped you from getting a number one, didn't it?
That's
I mean,
right.
that was sort of number one when you were having Bold and Blitz or something,
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
I think Can stopped us from getting the number one as well.
Which was another Chin and Chapman.
That's right.
The amazing thing is you've had 5 number 2 records, and Blockbuster, of course, went to number 1. I mean, what was it like working back in 72, 73, 74 with people like Slade? Was it as good fun as it sort of appeared to be back then?
Yeah, it was terrific fun. I think the hardest part about it was you couldn't move, you couldn't walk anywhere, you couldn't go. I couldn't go even stop for cigarettes. I couldn't go in a paper shop. I couldn't do anything. You know, I got up in the morning. There's people camping outside the house I was living in, and all that. You had no life of your own. The kick and the fun and the glam and all that. Wow, we had some great times, great tours. You know. Mark Bolan as well.
Going back quickly to Blockbuster again, which, as we said, was your only number 1. I mean, when you first actually sort of heard the demo track from Chin and Chapman or whatever, I mean, did you think it was ever going to be as successful as it turned out to be?
It was a country and western number.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't imagine that.
Oh, well, Chapman was a very, with his Australian way, made him sort of Americanise him. So Chapman was writing that way inclined. And then Sweet'd come along and rearrange it and rewrite it or change a chorus or something, you know, or we'd get together or he'd have half the song and we'd get together and do it. But his demos were very countrified, very acoustic, just because that's all he ever did on his demos was acoustic guitar. The gimmick, being the siren, wasn't on the record. We'd recorded it, mixed it, and had a release date. And we were in a car coming back from the gig one night. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, we heard this new release thing. And it went da-dun-da-dun, gung, gung, da-dun-da-dun, gung. We said, hey, turn it up, turn it up. It went into Genie. So, oh no, it beat us to it. But we just thought, well, can't do exactly the same. It's the same intro now. It's exactly the same, so we're going to have to put something to it.
And hence the siren.
But that was the one that topped the charts for them, and it was Blockbuster. Hugh Brown's outside again. Let's go and join him.
Thank you very much indeed, Stuart. Welcome back to the front of Thirlestane Castle. Absolutely beautiful view, and I'm glad to say the sunshine is still shining, which is brilliant considering the forecast that we had for this afternoon. And joining me now is Phil Roberts from the Sporting Bears Motor Club, which is in fact a charity, isn't it, Phil?
It is, yes. Good afternoon. We're a charity that raises money for children's charities, and we do it by a process we call Dream Rides, which is taking members of the public for a 10-mile trip on the public roads in return for charitable donations. So all drivers cover their own costs, so every penny raised goes to children's charities. We've been going for about 35 years and have raised about 3.7, 3.8 million in that time.
3.8 million, that is spectacular.
Yes, we have events up and down the country. From the Birmingham NEC Classic Car Shows through to Thirlestane, and indeed we're at Moffat in 3 weeks' time.
And which charities are you supporting this year?
We're supporting two charities. We're supporting the Hearts and Minds, which are probably better known as the Clown Doctors, and we're supporting the Borders Riding for the Disabled.
That's a great charity, isn't it?
They are, yes, both of them are great charities. We always support children's charities and charities in the area where we actually raise the money.
Now, the Sporting Bears today, it's a vast range, wide range of cars. I've been out in one of them, out in the Ford Focus RS with William, and it was exhilarating is probably the best word I can use to describe it, particularly when I have to say he put his foot to the pedal.
Yes, we've got all kinds. I myself, just because I'm a sporting bear doesn't mean I don't take dream rides myself. I've been in everything from a traction engine through to a Model T Ford through to a Messerschmitt bubble car.
So they don't have to necessarily be fast cars to be sporting bears?
No, and it's actually a surprise as to what kind of car attracts what kind of people. At the NEC Practical Classic Show we've just been to, there was a gentleman in a Austin Metro who didn't think he was going to get many people wanting to do a dream riding his vehicle. But I actually had quite a few, and the amount of people who actually learned how to drive in that car was quite amazing. And of course they wanted to relive that experience.
Yes, I was chatting to Chris about the Morris Minor Traveller, which is my first car, and that brought back memories for me. I'm sure that's exactly what it does to certain people who see some of the Sporting Bears cars.
Yes, so with some people it is a case of it bring back some memories. I've got a Morgan myself, and I've had quite a few people in it who have either known people who've driving those kind of cars or had those kind of cars, or indeed I once had a person who wanted to pick their Morgan up in a couple of days' time, and he wanted to know whether he made a mistake or not, and we agreed at the end of the drive that he hadn't made a mistake, and they were good cars.
So you're telling me that today, for instance, if people here at Thirlestane want to go out in one of the cars, they make a donation to the charity. Is there a set donation, or do they choose how much they'd like to donate?
There is a set donation because we can't have different prices for a car because somebody may have a problem with that. So we provide a suggested donation price. The donation price is selected to ensure that the car gets about 2 dream rides an hour, which, since it's a 10-mile trip on the public roads, it takes about 20 minutes or so, 20 to 25 minutes.
And how much do you think you might raise from a day like today at Thirlestane? Have you got an idea?
I would suspect around £3,500.
That's not bad at all. And then off to Moffat, as you said, in 3 weeks' time. That's a smaller show. So are you expecting a smaller, amount raised?
Yes, I believe that's probably going to be the case. It's the first time we've had a show at Moffat as well, or doing a dream ride, at the Moffat show. So we're interested to see how it goes. And it's the first time their show organisers have done anything with the Bears. So I'm hoping that we can grow our presence at that show.
But the thing about the Sporting Bears is it's right away across the UK, isn't it? It's north, south, east, west. And how many members have you got then?
That's a good question. I don't know the actual answer to that. Probably in the order of around 1,000. Yes, it is a countrywide organisation. We probably do 50 or 60 Dream Rides events throughout the year, throughout the country. Some are quite big, the Car Fest ones, and as I said, the Birmingham NEC ones, all through to smaller events like the Moffat one. We also do closed events as well, whereby we have used some of the racetracks, for example, Croft and whatever, within the country, and we have a private event for taking members of the public around that.
It's fantastic. It's a great idea. It's a fantastic charity, and I'm delighted that you're here at Thirlestane this afternoon. I'm also delighted I got a chance to go out with William in the Focus RS. It was an absolute pleasure. Nice to talk to you, Phil. Have a great afternoon and raise lots of money for the two charities.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
And he certainly put his foot down, didn't he, the guy?
He certainly put his foot down. Let me tell you, you were in the back filming, weren't you?
Well, I was trying to. I don't know where the camera actually ended up, but my goodness, the grip on that car. He said that was about 1G. He said
1G.
1G.
That was Mike, and that was the thing he was telling us, wasn't it, Stuart? That because of the setup of the Ford Focus RS, he could grip like that and take those bends, at some speed.
Yeah, and I mean, Grahame MacGregor, of course, we must ask him about this later because he's been a rally driver and he's also been the guy, the co-driver, who's done all this, and it's quite an experience, isn't it, when you get to that level?
It is. I mean, I've been out, I was lucky enough a good few years ago to go out with John Cleland up at Knockhill in his PR officer's Vauxhall Cavalier, which was an ordinary car, and he didn't hold back. We were going over 100 miles an hour around that small, tight circuit at Knockhill, and when we got back to the pits, his PR officer came over to him and said, "John, that'll be me needing 4 new tyres then." It was great stuff, great stuff.
It certainly was. And talk of Grahame MacGregor, and Grahame MacGregor's just walked in, actually. In fact, here he is. Hello, Grahame.
Hello.
Hello. Where have you been?
I've just been in the castle, actually. It's just hoaching, as they say, with, amazing contrast. You've got all this automotive machinery out here, some phenomenally expensive vehicles of the modern age, and just a few steps and you're in hundreds of years of history, which is a wonderful contrast, which is suiting many people because it's pretty busy.
And, of course, it's open today. Which is great.
Yes, indeed, it is open, and people are availing themselves. Some locals and some from further afield, obviously, and just wanting a wee bit break, as I say, from the kind of contrast is something I think people seem to be enjoying, because the lady I spoke to was telling me about some of the history, and the various portraits were up there, and folk that had been involved in dirty deeds and things in the past and the like, and such as the things that happens in old buildings. I suppose they hold these stories.
One of the things we were just talking about on air there about how good these people are in terms of, at the wheel, they love their cars and they treat them really well, but to the ordinary passenger in the back, it can be a little bit daunting. As we went round a corner today and I thought I would never see my phone again, and there it was. I eventually found it, but he was saying it went down at 1G, and I mentioned that of course you were a bit of a rally driver and a co-driver as well, weren't you? And those speeds are unbelievable.
Yes, indeed. I very first rally I ever competed in was the Jim Clark rally way back in the late 80s, and it of course, Jim Clark is a name that's been mentioned a few times today and will be mentioned again in 2 weeks' time. We'll be
3 weeks.
3 weeks' time, get it
yes.
right. 3 weeks' time, and we'll be there at another special event for Jim Clark. They always like to hang these events on particular anniversaries, and it's the 60th anniversary of his greatest year coming up, 1965, when he won the second World Championship in Indianapolis, and even the Touring Car Championship. What an amazing driver he was, and it fits in beautifully, of course, to an event like this today, and Jim Clark Trust has its own little tent and spreading the word as usual up there.
Fantastic. Well, more from Thirlestane Castle and the BVAC event very, very shortly, but back to those interviews from my archives. And when I was at the BBC in Oxford long time ago, I interviewed Alvin Stardust several times. Before Alvin, he was of course known as Shane Fenton, his real name Bernard Jury, of course, but in this clip I asked him how the Alvin Stardust persona came about, because the name was an invention of fellow Magnet artist, fellow Magnet owner as well, Peter Shelley. Remember Love Me, Love My Dog and G-Baby, his 2 hits? Well, he wrote, of course, that song and recorded the song My Cuckoo, which was his first hit. So how did the two meet?
I met Peter Shelley in a pub in the West End, and he just said, "Aren't you Shane Fenton?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Are you doing anything at the moment?" So I said, "Well, doing gigs and that." And he said, "I'm a record producer and we're just forming a new label. And I've got a track. Do you fancy going and have a listen to it?" So I said, "Yeah." So I went round the studio and he played it me. And he said, "Do you fancy putting a voice on it?" So I said, "Yeah, all right." So I did, and they'd already thought of the name of Alvin Stardust.
Oh, they thought of it?
Yeah, so I just became Alvin Stardust. I mean, I just thought it was a joke, really. I was quite happy doing the rock and roll trio bit. And in fact, the record was cut. A fortnight before it charted, I was actually working in a club in Manchester. And we were on stage playing, and I'd heard that the record had suddenly started shipping out sort of 15,000 singles a day. And then about 4 days later, it had gone up to 30,000 singles a day. And I thought, oh dear, this is serious. What have I got into here? Fancy having a name like Alvin Stardust. And I couldn't think what to do. So then, of course, I went and dyed my hair black and got the leathers on and everything. And
How did the black leather thing, because there was the glove and there was the way you held the microphone as well, wasn't there, for the first 4 or 5 tracks?
it was just the way it went. I actually did it. I dyed my hair one night in a bed and breakfast place in Sussex Gardens in London. And it ran all down my face and my nails were purple and everything. So I thought, I can't go and do telly tomorrow looking like this. So I actually went out and bought some stick-on sideboards. Cold coincidence, I was reading a magazine about Sean Connery as James Bond, and read he'd had a toupee made by this shop, that did wig specialities or something, or wig creations, that did all the film stuff. So I went into them the next day, and I bought 2 stick-on sideboards and stuck them on to match the black hair. And my fingernails were purple, and I thought, and all my hands were blue, so I thought, I've got to do something with it. So I went and bought some gloves, and I already had the jewellery. So I just went on and did that, and it worked. And the microphone was a fluke, really. They said, OK, you're on, and we went out live, and I was stood there, and I just did it. I don't know, because I was wearing the leather and all that. And of course, the next day, the record took off. We were then shipping out 60,000 singles a day. We went straight up into the top 5. And I realised then it was going to be really big. And the Enemy and the Melody Maker started writing things like The Man in Black, Mean, Moody, and all this, the untouchable Alvin Stardust. So we pinched the untouchable and used it for the album title, yeah. And I thought, well, if that's what they want and that's what they think, I'll do it. So I began to do it, and I wouldn't have any photographs taken smiling or anything like that. And I never smiled on stage.
So it was a game, really, wasn't it?
Well, it developed into a sales pitch, I suppose. But we used to fall about. I mean, I used to have security people with me all the time. We used to intimidate people. If I did an interview, we'd have a security guy standing either side of the interviewer. And I think journalists in general wouldn't have dared to slag me off. I mean, I think you could do it now. I mean, if I was as over the top now as I was then, and I had a record at #1 in the charts, even with today's journalists, I still think they would be conscientious about their own safety. And I think if they were doing interviews with somebody, even if they'd like to slag you off, if they knew that people knew who they were, where they were, and they had 2 guys stood out of the side of them, they'd be very careful what questions they wrote. I think they'd be very careful what they wrote afterwards in case you sent somebody to find them. And we thought every time the journalist walked out the door, we was amazed that they went along with it. We thought somebody's got to start laughing one day and say, oh, come on, this is a joke. But they never did.
What a fascinating character that man was. Alvin Stardust certainly managed to keep reinventing himself on 3 different labels, of course. Had hits, Magnet, Stiff and Chrysalis, with different producers. Sadly no longer with us, as I say, but we played one of his lesser known hits, Good Love Can Never Die. I think Alvin was also fronting the Green Cross Code at one point. Is that right, Hugh?
He was the Green Cross Code Man.
The Cross Cruise?
Green Cross Code Man. That's not easy to say that, is it?
Grahame, can you say it?
It was the Green Cross Code.
See, it's not easy, is it? The Green Cross Code Man. Come on, say it again. Grahame, have another go.
He was the Green Cross Code Man.
Of course he was. Hugh?
The Green Cross Code Man.
Yes, so we got there in the end. That's marvellous. Alvin Starr, what a character, though. What did he mean to you back in the 70s?
Well, mean and moody, right enough.
Yeah, I mean, lovely stories, though, isn't
I think it's fascinating that you hear the real story many years on. He's just an ordinarily decent guy, but yet, in fact, this image was by accident, as he explained, and then enforced thereafter, intentionally making him look mean, and people thought he was mean and horrible, and you think that about various other, you think of the guy in Sparks and all that, staring at the camera and all that, probably a decent guy, isn't he? I think I saw him on television.
Did you have him in the studio when you recorded that? Was he live in the studio?
He was live, yeah. I've met him several times.
So did you find that he was just as nice as...
He was just as nice, absolutely. Yeah, and he did loads of pantomime as well after that as well. I mean, he got his finger in so many pies. He also owned a guitar which was signed by Eddie Cochran and all the greats as well, which was he'd valued for £1 million back then. Wonder whatever happened to that. Probably in the family, I would imagine, still. Amateur Hour from Sparks, who are back in the UK doing a little bit of a tour at the moment. Their latest album is at number 2 at the moment as well. And Grahame MacGregor's talking to me for some reason. What are you talking to me about? You were mumbling away there just as I was on air. Talk about Amateur Hour. We've just played as well. And here's Grahame MacGregor. What is it you want? What does it want?
It was just an inadvertent cue there, because I mentioned Sparks being mean and moody, the guy that sat with a little thin moustache now. And there you had Sparks already queued up. That is spooky.
Spooky. Oh, that's what it was. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
good. Well, look, after the break, we're going to send you somewhere into the castle, okay? So that's coming up very shortly.
Community radio for Hoyt. This is TD9 Radio.
Calling all history lovers and curious minds. If exploring the rich heritage of the Scottish Borders sounds like your kind of adventure, then Borders Collections Online is the perfect resource for you. Containing over 150,000 fascinating artworks, artefacts, archives, printed books and more, this incredible online collection offers a deep dive into local history. Whether it's a specific topic you're researching or simply a journey through time, Borders Collections Online lets you search and explore in detail like never before. Visit liveborders.org.uk and search for Borders Collections Online, or give us a call. Dive into the past with Borders Collections Online today.
The Borders' newest Chinese fully licensed restaurant and takeaway is now open in Selkirk. The Red Lantern in Westport is open on Sundays, Tuesdays to Thursdays from 4 till 9, and Fridays and Saturdays till 10 o'clock. A home delivery service is available throughout the Borders. And now, every Wednesday, we have a special offer for eating in at the restaurant. For £21.50 per person, order as much food as you like from the menu, cooked from scratch. Full details at 01750 663 330. That's 01750 663 330.
Since 1972, the BVAC has been a club for all those who share a passion for classic cars and motoring. Outside of organising today's 50th anniversary BVAC Classic, the club organises social meets, drive-out days, and attends other classic car shows. And the club is always looking to welcome new members to attend events. In particular, the club would like to welcome new young members and volunteers who share our passion for motoring and want to help the club continue to thrive for the next 50 years. So get in touch at our website at bvac.org.uk.
Okay, we've sent Grahame MacGregor out for talking whilst I'm on air. Where are you?
Well, I'm in the wonderful Thirlestane Castle now. I've got Jacky, one of the guides. Jacky, is it a busy day for you today? Obviously, with the event outside, people can still, however, come into the castle.
Yes, it's been very busy, yes. A lot of interest shown in the castle today, yeah.
How do you enjoy showing people around this wonderful ancient pile here?
Oh, well, I take an interest in history myself. But it's just something that I enjoy doing. I work here and I work at Abbotsford as well. Volunteering, and it's just very interesting meeting all different people from different countries, you know, and showing them round and giving them the history of the castle.
So you're not here in the formal sense of welcoming people and then giving them a speech. You're just here for people to ask questions of you.
Well, today we are, but on other days I'm an actual guide. I take people around the castle. When they come, we do 3 tours a day here, 7 days a week. So I do the morning tour on a Tuesday. And we have quite a variety of guides here that do all the different time slots.
And plainly, I would presume you have people from all over the world come here.
Yes, you meet a lot of interesting people, and a lot of people that are obviously interested in Scotland and its history as well, you know.
Any amusing kinds of questions that you have to fend in a way?
Not that I can remember offhand. Not really, no.
Not really. Well, at least everyone's quite sensible, therefore,
yes,
that come here to visit this. I mean, we're just in the entrance here, and there's lots of ancient paintings, as you might well imagine, in a place like this. And I presume this is back the Maitlands and the Carew family.
Yes. We have Chancellor John Maitland, who was Chancellor to James VI of Scotland, first of England. And the gentleman on the other side is his brother, William Lethington, who both had connections to Mary Queen of Scots. William was Secretary of State to Mary Queen of Scots in her court, and there was various ways that they said that William died. He was implicated in the death of Rizzio and of Darnley, and it said he was jailed in Leith, and it was said that some say that poison was taken into him and he took his own life, because back then when you were sentenced to death you were hung, drawn and quartered. So he took his own life, but then others say that he just died naturally, as you know, being in prison. He wasn't a well man when he went in.
So like so many of these ancient homes, several hundred years old, they all have their interesting and mysterious stories, sometimes true, sometimes perhaps not quite so true, but interesting for all that. Yes. Thank you very much for showing me around this very, very quick tour for me, because there's more people coming in, and I'll let you get to work again.
Okay, thank you.
This is Summer Breeze coming to you live from Thirlestane Castle for the Festival of Motoring organised by the BVAC. It's the 50th one as well. And one of the features always here, the Sporting Bears. And to find out more about the Sporting Bears and to take a little drive out with William Beckmann, it's Hugh Brown.
Why an RS then, William?
Well, I had one of the first Capri 2.8Is in the country. It was actually registered at London Docks. ORX 811X, and I had that for a good few years, but unfortunately my family expanded in size, as these things happen, and I had to get rid of it up here, and I had to get an old diesel estate car. And so I always promised myself that at some later date I'd have another fast Ford. And so when they bought out the Mark III, I had the money to have a Mark III. But as I say, it's not an everyday car. Lives in a plastic bubble on my farm, and just comes out for Sporting Bears.
So are they quite rare, these models?
There's about the same number of these in the country as there were the Mark II RSs. So there's about 8,000-ish that came out, of which more than half of them are the nitrous blue colour, which was a special colour only available on the RS. So, unfortunately, it's a common colour in that sense. But yes, you'll pass other ones. In fact, there's one in the village just before you get down here to Lauder, parked on the side of the road. So, they're not common. They when they first came out, they were absolute theft magnets. So I had a lot of members of the RS club, and cars were getting stolen all over the place. So security became a very big issue, and this obviously has extra security on it. But most of the time it's locked up on a farm with a massive steel barrier gate, so nobody's getting it.
I suppose one of the things about a car like this is speed. So what's its 0 to 60 if you were to push it?
Well, this one will do it in about 4.5 seconds, because this has what's called the FPM 375 kit on it, which was a Ford and Mountune provided kit to give it only about 25 brake horsepower more. But what it actually did was improve the torque curve, which helps the acceleration. Top speed really remained the same. It's about 165 as top speed. And of course, the only place you can really go and do that is on Germany on the Autobahn. You can't do it over here. So, but it's really about acceleration. And this was one of the first cars readily available that had torque vectoring in the four-wheel drive system. So it has electronic control of the torque to enable it to go round a corner much faster than you would be able to do it if it didn't have that. So that's the fascinating thing. So it is all rather computer controlled, but the thing is you can drive it without fighting at the wheel and so on, as long as the car's set up right and everything works properly.
Well, we'll talk about the Sporting Bears shortly. I think we should get underway, actually. I think we'll head out on the road and see and hear the car in action. So I assume the Sporting Bears go all over the country to shows like this, do they?
Yes. The really big show for us is down at the NEC in Birmingham, where we do the classic car show, and which is in November, and we also do the other big show that's down there in March, and they're probably our biggest fundraisers. But we do other ones. So we used to do Chris Evans ones, North and South. Can't remember what they're called now. But the North ones stop, but the South one still goes, and that's another big show for us. But it's all over the country. So we're called the Polar Bears because we're up here. And we don't have very many places where we can do this. So Thirlestane has been a constant over many years for us. But this year, for the first time, we're going to do the Moffat show as well. And they've managed to organise that we can use the school car park opposite their showground to run the garage from. So we've displayed there a couple of times, but this year will be the first time we do Dream Rides.
And the Sporting Bears is a charity to raise money. Is there a specific charity this year?
Yes, there are two charities we're supporting this year. We always collect for what we would call the smaller charities, and normally to do with children, supporting children in different ways. So this year we're supporting the Clown Doctors, and I have my red clown nose so that you can do the right bit. Okay, and basically we are also supporting the Riding for the Disabled, the RDA, for this area. The RDA is split into different areas. My daughter is actually a qualified horse rider and has taught at RDA places herself. So that's supporting disabled people learning to ride. And that's an important thing. It's very good physiotherapy for them, and it helps.
Wow. Yes, you can feel the acceleration. You have the acceleration.
Just has a bit of it.
Just a wee bit.
That's one of the only places you can do very much, because they put 40-mile-an-hour signs everywhere.
Were you a bit of a boy racer in your day then, William?
Not really. I'm an electronics and software design engineer, and I have a Lotus Europa S2 as well, but I enjoy cars. When I went to uni, you didn't just do electronics, you also did mechanical engineering and civil engineering as well, so you learned a bit about everything.
It's got a lovely sound, the engine, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and this is standard. It's got a standard exhaust on, you've got standard suspension on this, so I haven't played around with it, but some people do. They like to lower them and fit spacers. You don't want to do that because it interferes with the control of the torque vectoring system, so they're considered to be a bit bouncy on the rear. So lowering springs can help that a bit, but I couldn't get up and down my farm road.
What surprises me with a car of this speed and is how well it grips the road.
That's the point. It's really about how do I go round on the road, and I'm conscious that somebody's in the back and I don't want to throw them too much from side to side. It's also got very, very powerful Brembo brakes on, so it stops extremely well. But the car's actually called by my grandchildren, they call it Pop Pop Bang, because that's what you hear it doing when you get it revved right up. So
I think the only boy racer one I ever had was a Vauxhall Zafira VXR. Because it was such a big car, people didn't think that it was a fast car, and you would fly past them at traffic lights and things, but the power and the speed was amazing.
Yep, I remember those. I had a couple of Vauxhalls in my life as well. The best one was an ex-Navy FD 1600 low compression ratio engine with a 4-speed gearbox on the floor. And the beauty of it was, when we had the fuel crisis in the 70s, I was allowed to buy as much 2-star petrol as I wanted by the local fuel company. And I was allowed to jump the queues. And the number of times I almost got beaten up. What are you doing jumping the queue? And the guy would come out and say, if that guy didn't come and buy the 2-star, you wouldn't get any 4-star. Right, this is my secret route, but they dug it all up at the edges.
Oh! I've just lost my stomach. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
Right, that's the end of your fun now. That's 1G you get there. 1G. That's it, 1G.
This is where I wish I hadn't had breakfast. But there's a real thrill about it. You get a buzz.
There is a real thrill if you can do it right, but you've got to do it safely, and you've also got to remember people live here. So, we're going to go through a set of houses here, and you just need to remember to drive sensibly so that, you're not going to cause anybody any ill will towards us.
So you were saying, William, that the Sporting Bears have raised an amazing £4 million for charity. That is incredible.
Yes, when you think it's all done by driving cars, but at some of the big shows and some of the very hyper cars and so on, they are expensive to get a ride in, as opposed to the more normal everyday cars that we tend to run up here, where the amount of money we get per ride is that much less because of the area and the size of the show that we're doing. So the really big shows like the NEC, we get some very fancy cars, we get a lot of money raised, and that's how we raise that amount of money over the years.
You've had in your lifetime quite a number of cars. What would your dream car be?
I've never really had a dream car as such. I've always liked the cars that I've got. I'm glad that as a retired person I've got this car, which is comfortable. You can do a long journey in it. It's got the go in it if you want to, and I find it fits me absolutely fine, which is why I've got no intention of getting rid of it at all. And my grandsons are all arguing about who's going to have it.
Well, I want to thank you for taking us out on a ride, and the Sporting Bears, I hope, will have a really successful afternoon here at Thirlestane Castle raising money for the charities, and it's been a great delight and a pleasure to be with you in this wonderful Ford Focus RS Mark III. Thank you.
And thank you very much indeed for coming and having an enjoyable ride.
Now, Hugh Brown, of course, is our kind of, inverted commas, expert at Eurovision, and you can't remember where that actually finished, did you? That's one of my favourite songs that we entered. Oh, you've changed microphones again.
Coco and The Bad Old Days.
It was,
and that was
Cheryl Baker.
Cheryl Baker, that's right, before she went to Bucks Fizz. Was it 78?
Must be, yeah. Because I played it from the 70s, so
yes,
there we are.
because 77 was Rock Bottom by Mike Moran and
Lynsey De Paul, who you'll be hearing from later in the programme. Ooh. 76 was Brotherhood of Man. Who was that must have been
75 was The Shadows, wasn't it?
Let Me Be the One.
Yeah.
Yes, it's getting... And 74...
It was Olivia Newton-John.
Yes, with Long Live Love.
Long Live Love.
Yes,
yeah.
My goodness. 79?
Oh, I think we're going to go with 73, because 73 was Cliff, wasn't it?
Power to all our friends.
Yes. 79?
No, congratulations.
No, you're right.
It was
Power to all our friends.
Yes,
yeah.
79.
Who was in 79?
It wasn't Johnny Logan, was it?
No, that was 80.
Ooh, 1 year out.
1 year out, yes.
Someone should adopt that as a phrase.
79. I can't think who her contestants were in 79.
79.
We'll have to look it up.
We have to look it up. Let's Google it right now. And whilst we're Googling it, we're going to join Stuart McFarlane, because he's out and about. Now, he has a sweet tooth, of course, as Stuart McFarlane, so I bet he's at one of the trade stands.
So I'm here with Harvey's Highland Honey. Are you Harvey?
Yeah, Harvey.
So where have you come from? Where in the Highlands, presumably, have you come from?
Fern, so just above Inverness.
Oh, so that's a lengthy drive. You'll be one of the, in terms of the traders, I suppose, one of the furthest travelled.
I think so, yeah. About a 4.5 hour journey down yesterday.
Down yesterday, and back tonight or back tomorrow?
No, back tonight.
Tell us a little bit about your business then.
So I started it Sort of leaving school at 16, so I'm only sort of a couple of years into it now. And slowly getting more and more hives and producing more honey.
And how did you get into beekeeping?
We started it at our house with a few hives just before lockdown. And then during school there was a course as well, so we done a bit of that. And then slowly progressed from there and got lots now, about 120 at the moment.
Good grief. And have you a number of different apiaries then spread around an area of the Highlands?
Yeah, we've got them between Inverness and Leg, so there's about 9 or 10 apiaries, and then there's a few that we only use for the heather as well.
I was going to ask you about that because there's obviously heather honey, and I'm just having a look at some of the jars here. So they're very nicely decorated with the hexagon shape, which of course is an illustration of the hives and the activity of the bees. And in terms of the range then, have you got sort of clear honey and a range with maybe some chili infused honey as well? I think you have, because I can see something illustrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got sort of a few different ones throughout sort of all the seasons really, and then our popular one, which is our chili one as well, something different.
So, and also, as well as the actual honey in the jars, you have a range of other items that might be found in a Highland kitchen.
Yeah, so we've got wax wraps and wax melts too, so we try and use up all our own wax and all that as well. So.
Have you gone into candle making, or could that be a step, or is that a step too far?
We've had a little go, but not much success at the moment.
No, that can be quite tricky to do. And what have you made of the event here today and the setting that you find yourself in?
No, it's really nice. I'm enjoying all the Land Rovers and all that anyway, so yeah, a bit extra to go with it, so yeah.
Are you going to spend much of your summer going around similar shows?
Yeah, we've got a few different ones planned all around Scotland this year, so we're sort of spreading out a bit more. And yeah, it's a bit more than last year, because last year was a bit quiet.
Well, listen, thank you very much for your time. There's a few people just taking a look at what you have on offer and what is on sale today. We wish you every success and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now, if I was a really bad producer, I'd have played Honey after that, wouldn't I, by Bobby Goldsborough? And I would have done, to be honest, except I haven't brought it with me. So that's why it hasn't been played today. But what we can do is put you out of your misery, because 1979's British entry was Mary Ann by Black Lace.
Black Lace, yes, who went on, of course, to do Agadoo and Superman.
Yes, we wish they hadn't, really, but they did. 1971 was Clodagh Rogers' Jack in the Box.
Yes.
And 1970, we're racking our brains, but Grahame MacGregor, the old man of Lochnagar himself, is looking it up on some interweb thing. What have you got? Have you found it yet? Just shout it out. It doesn't matter if we're on the air or not. Just...
He's trying to find 19. So it was the year Dana won with all kinds of everything. But
that's right, for Ireland, yes. Which was Ireland's first win, possibly.
Ireland have got the equal most wins in Eurovision.
Johnny Logan getting 2 of them.
Yes.
Is he the only one who's actually won twice?
Yes, he is.
Right, thank you. I'll rest easy now. Okay, we're live from Thirlestane Castle in Lauder, and back to the archives, and a guy that I'm delighted to say is still with us, despite having hits over 50 years ago. Barry Blue. Now, he shot to fame as a co-writer with Lynsey De Paul, penning hits for each other, and of course other people as well. Barry's first hit single was the classic Dancing on a Saturday Night, which used the traditional Greek instrument called the bazooka. And during a long interview with Barry, whose real name, of course, is Barry Green, he told me how the bazooka came about to be on the record.
I used to visit my local Greek restaurant, which is in a part of London called Chalk Farm. There was, I think it was Thursday nights, they used to have the Greek night, where they had the Zorba the Greek dance, and they had the bouzouki player, whose name was Andreas. And then one day I was going in there, and we were recording round the corner, and I had this sort of idea, why don't we kind of incorporate that big holiday sound? It was a bit, it was supposed to be a holiday record, Dancing on Saturday Night. So why don't we incorporate that bouzouki and get that on the record? So I tapped Andreas on the shoulder and I said to him, you don't know me, but I'm recording around the corner. Would you come with your bouzouki and play a couple of parts for me? And he said, yeah, why not? I gave him 50 quid. I did look after him afterwards, I must add. And he came in and he played the part that I'd written, it was going to be on guitar. And then I made it far more continental in a way. It just had a great party atmosphere. I think I was influenced a lot by Zorba the Greek. I loved that film. It was a big summer record.
Okay, it's not a bazooka. It's a bazooki, isn't it? Well, I was getting confused with the bubble gum. Do you remember the bubble gum?
You were the pink bubble gum.
Bubble
Also,
gum.
a bazooka is a gun that fires a rocket or something as well.
Yeah,
Which you should get a rocket up, you know where.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
we're getting that wrong. A bazooki.
A bazooki. You've got something to say, Stuart McFarlane. Bring him in.
I was going to say, can you tell me the 1984 stroke released 85 film, which I think I'm right in saying featured a child's bazooki or bazooka.
Oh, goodness.
So the gun, not
1984,
the gun.
1985.
Yeah, the gun, bazooka.
You can plead that we're only doing 70s.
Yeah, we're only doing
today,
70s.
Yeah, so we don't know.
No,
Well,
we'll have a think about that.
Yeah.
We'll look up Google again. But 1970s UK Eurovision entry was Mary Hopkin. Knock, knock, who's there? Just in case you were wondering.
That's right, so that's the full 70s. I bet you can't do from 2000 to 2010.
No, I bet you can't.
No, or anything after that.
Do you know David Henderson back at TD9 Towers must be wondering why he gave up the Vinyl Frontier this afternoon to let us be on air.
Well, he didn't, because it's the gold.
Oh no, it's Sunday
golden
Gold.
hour.
Sunday
Yes.
Gold, yes, it's Sunday
Yes, he
Gold.
didn't
that's
give
right.
it up at all. Anyway, we had Barry Blue before that with Dancing on a Saturday Night, and more from Barry Blue very, very shortly. But I think it's high time that we brought another Hugh Brown package, in fact, because you earlier went out and about and spoke to this gentleman.
I'm with Keith Bader from the TVR Car Club North East region. Keith, tell me first of all about TVR. What's so special about them?
Well, they're quite a fast, easy to live with sports car. They were made in quite small numbers, so there's not many of them around, so you don't see many of them as well, which is always a good thing. But they're just a lot of fun, very fast, very loud, and they just give a lot of pleasure to people.
Why would someone go for a TVR over, say, a Jaguar or a Mercedes or something?
I think the type of person that wants a TVR is the person that enjoys the performance, and they are fast cars. They're built to be fast, to be loud, and to get you noticed. So I think that's what the main difference would be, maybe compared to something like a Jaguar or something smaller like that.
Noticed by speed cameras and the police, perhaps?
You always keep your eyes peeled, but no, you can poodle along in these cars quite happily, and they're just as happy going slowly as they are fast. But if you want to do track days and such things as track days, then you've got that option of really being able to drive a car that was built to be driven really fast.
I think I'm right in saying they were built in the factory in Blackpool, weren't they?
That's right, yeah, they were. Yeah, they were built in Blackpool up till I think it was about 2003, 2004, something like that, when unfortunately they went into receivership and were then bought out by a Russian millionaire who then continued with the factory for a short time, but eventually it folded sadly, and it hasn't been resurrected properly since.
I have to say I have a vested interest because my brother is chairman of TVR Scotland, and he's 6'5". He's got a pearlescent orange TVR, quite unique, I think, and unusual. But he loves them. But I don't know how he gets into it, because I couldn't get into a TVR.
Well, interestingly, TVRs of that sort of era it was said that they were built to accommodate Peter Wheeler, who was the owner of TVR at that time, and I believe Peter Wheeler was something like 6'7". So most people can get into a TVR. It's not easy getting in and out of them because they're so low, but you can squeeze a 6-footer in behind the wheel of a TVR with reasonable ease, I think.
And many miles of enjoyable driving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've had my car now for 17 years. And I've travelled all over Europe in it. I've been to Monaco, France, Italy, and all over England and Scotland, and have enjoyed it immensely. It's a very good practical car to drive around long distances. It's a good proper GT car.
Don't get much in the boot though.
It has an enormous boot for its size, actually. You can get all the camping gear you need in the boot. Certainly of this model that I own, which is a TVR Chimera, it does have a good, decent-sized boot, and it's possible to get all your luggage in it without too much problem.
Keith, lovely to talk to you. Have a good afternoon here at Thirlestane.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers.
Hugh Brown out and about once again earlier on today. Well, this is Summer Breeze with me, Stuart Cameron, along with Hugh Brown, Stuart McFarlane, and also Grahame MacGregor, live from the 50th BVAC Festival of Motoring at Thirlestane Castle here in Lauder. Beautiful sunny day, hasn't rained once. Weather got it wrong again. And going back into the 70s archives with part 2 now of a chat that I had with Barry Blue. Some of you may not know that Barry produced the first Heatwave album, which spawned hits like Always and Forever and Ain't No Half Stepping, and of course Boogie Nights. And I asked him how he got involved in that project.
I'd already dipped my toe into the kind of Brit funk thing. Dick Leahy and I, we were going out. We said, well, let's go and visit this band that everyone seems to be queuing up outside for. And people said they were as good as Earth, Wind and Fire, albeit smaller kind of unit, but they did the same kind of gymnastics. The show was dynamite. And we queued up, we went in to see them, and I just was floored by the band. The band were phenomenal. And Rod Temperton was in the corner. He was never one for the limelight. He was the writer. Eventually, the band said to me, look, will you produce our first album? The rest is history.
Fascinating stuff. Boogie Nights, written by Rod Temperton, who went on to pen Thriller by Michael Jackson. But he was the quiet one in Heatwave, playing keyboards, writing some other monster hits as well. I think he had 3 tracks on the Thriller album, which isn't bad. Only one of them was a single though, and that of course was Thriller. Well, Stuart McFarlane, the man with the sweet tooth, is out and about once again.
Well, I've moved from the honey trade stand and I'm now very impressed by the selection of tablet on offer now. Very nice to meet you. Just tell us first of all who you are, where you've come from, and a little bit about what you're selling here today.
My name's Val, it's Val Scottish Tablet, and I make lots of different tablet flavours, and fudges and marshmallows. I've been doing this for about 12 years, I think it is now. So my mum used to make me and the whole family, there was about 7 of us, a tablet as a treat, you know. So and then she passed away, so I decided to take up the mantle and make tablet, but make it slightly different. So I do it in lots of different shapes as well, which is quite unusual for everybody. They often think it's, you know, soap or, you know, something else, but and the newest one is a tablet tea cake. So it's a take on the Tunnocks tea cake, but it's a tablet base, marshmallow, Belgian chocolate. So yeah, that's what I do.
I see it in terms of the creativity of presentation. You know, I can see you've got games console, handsets, you've got characters from maybe Marvel Comics and that. So you've obviously looked around to see what's popular and then shaped it in tablet form.
Yes, I mean, I'm very creative anyway, so I have a creative background. I do drawings and I actually work as an engineer as well. So it's yes, it's a love of creativity, and it's like, what can I make next? You know, what can I do next? So yeah, I love it.
So was this initially a sideline that's become, you know, a thriving business that occupies most of your time?
Yes, I mean, I get home from work and put a penny on, and then that's me. I'm making tablet and fudge and marshmallow and you name it. So it's, yeah, I'm always busy and always coming up with something else and something new. So.
And tell us, what do you make of the surroundings and being here as a trade with a pitch, a stand here at Thirlestane today?
So this is our first time here. We're part of the Exclusively Highlands gathering that's come, and it's pretty amazing actually to watch all the different cars, and you can see how excited everyone is for all the cars and all the and the people driving it. You know, they're waving to you as if to say, look at me in my car, and I'm like, it's really quite exciting. It's a really good event. There's lots to see, lots to do, so yeah.
And as we're talking here, you're doing a roaring trade.
Yeah, it's always busy. People always need a little bit of sugar to keep them going, you know, especially when it gets a bit windy or rainy and stuff, so yeah. it's a nice wee treat.
Well, listen, if I was to be very generous to my colleagues that are out and about working very hard producing this programme, what would you recommend I should take back to them?
Oh, well, so the most popular is always traditional tablet. Everybody loves the traditional tablet. But there's always people that like fudge as well, so that's why I started doing fudge. But yeah, traditional is the most popular.
You've got treat bars. Traditional treat bar tablet, yeah. Well, will we go for a couple of them then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I think you've got yourself a sale.
Thank you.
Marvellous stuff. That's tablet. So, fudge or tablet, Hugh?
I like fudge.
I like tablet.
You make tablet.
I do, actually, yes. You have a wooden spoon, you keep stirring it for 45
and you are
hours.
very good at stirring it, let me tell you.
Yes, indeed. Well, actually, there's only one song I should play after Stuart McFarlane and his Sweet Tooth and things, is Sugar Me. And it's very, very good production, this, because there's more 70s flashbacks for you now. Lynsey De Paul, who, again, sadly isn't with us anymore, but she was a real sweetheart, very giving of her time. And I spent a good hour and a half with her way back in the day. And we spoke about her partnership with Barry Blue and about her own career, of course, and how she got her contract with Mam Records, which also launched Gilbert O'Sullivan back in the 70s. And this is what she told me about that first single, which is, of course, Sugar Me.
Sugar Me was a demo that I had made for Peter Noon to hear to sing.
Oh, from the Herman's Hermits.
Yes. And then I thought, well, it might be nice to just be an artist. I didn't really think it through. And I walked off the street with my little acetate under my arm and a pair of jeans. Unannounced, I went to Gordon Mills, who was the big hot thing at the time. He had Tom Jones, Engelbert Humperdinck, and Gilbert O'Sullivan. And here was I, having only ever written one hit, with a demo album. And I charged in and said, would you like to manage me? Would you like to put my records out? And they signed me up within 3 days and put Sugar Me out again within 3 weeks.
Good
and
grief.
it went to number 5 about 3 weeks later.
So what about the build-up from the moment it was released to the promotion and everything else? Who picked up on it first? When did you realise that maybe this record is going to be doing the business for you?
Well, at the time, Man was incredibly strong, and they had all the DJs signed to them. And it was a real sort of, we used to call it the Taffia, because Gordon, who, God rest his soul, he died, he was Welsh, Taffy, you see, and we thought they were so strong we called it the Taffia. And I think they had a lot of control over the industry. That won't give you a hit unless the record itself is a hit, but they did get it noticed, and I had sort of wonderful publicity and a big camp. When you've got that sort of strength behind you, if you've got any talent at all, it will out, and I was very lucky.
Tell me about Sugar Me then. What was the idea behind the song?
Again, I wrote it with Barry Blue. You know, we were talking about Barry Blue just before, who was called Barry Green in those days, Addison Yellow. And what we were doing, we sang, we had this melody going, and what we sang was just a load of rubbish words, and we sang shibby-doo-ba-day, shibby-doo-bap, because that sounded nice. And what I like to do is to marry vowel sounds to melodies in the correct way, and then it sings easily. So I said, well, why don't we try and keep it as near to shibby-doo-bap day, you know? And we just made it into Sugar Me by Day.
Grahame MacGregor, of course, expert on Lynsey De Paul. What was her second? What was her second hit?
Oh, you're talking. I'm not that old, Stuart.
Not a clue. Hugh will come in and help you. Oh, which microphone are you on now? You're just fooling me. Number 4.
It was No Honestly.
It wasn't. It was Getting a Drag.
It was No Honestly before Sugar Me then?
Sugar Me, then Getting a Drag. No Honestly was on a completely different label. It was on Jet.
Yeah,
you should know this.
But it was...
No ifs and buts.
No.
You look that one up. You're wrong. Hugh Brown, you're wrong. Stuart, referee. Sit on the fence.
I'm just wondering if Hugh's thinking of hit order and you're looking at labels, and could there be a difference?
No, he's not. I just said, what was the follow-up to Sugar Me?
There's Stuart McFarlane.
Yeah, but the follow-up wasn't a hit.
It was.
Not a big hit.
You look that up now whilst we're talking. Let me talk to these two sensible people, and you can look up that one, okay? Getting a Drag was the follow-up to Sugar Me. I'm pretty sure you've got me doubting now. Hang on, Grahame MacGregor's reaching for his Wikipedia. But whilst they're sorting that out, Stuart McFarlane, in a 3 weeks' time, we're going to be at Duns Castle. So we're going from Thirlestane Castle to Duns Castle. This will be on the 29th of June, Sunday. And it's a very special programme again. And you and Grahame, obviously, very much involved in this. Tell us about it.
So it's Jim Clark Trust. It's a programme to mark, it's a weekend, in fact, to mark the 60th anniversary of Jim Clark's fantastic summer of '65, where he in that year won the French Formula 2 Tasman Series, so racing in New Zealand and Australia. He was also the first Brit to win in Indianapolis, so he was up against 31 American drivers, 1 Canadian and himself, and having been so close 2 years earlier, he was able to, with a rear engine, was able to get round the circuit at the Brickyard fastest and first. And of course he was also a Formula 1 winner as well for the second time, so clinched his second Formula 1 world title. He was runner-up in the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, although he did win ABC Wide World of Sport Award for Sportsman of the Year over in America, and that was partly due to the fact that ABC's sports programme was expanded by 1965 to show more live sport, and that's the first time they really featured the Indianapolis race at great length rather than just an edited highlights package.
And did you mention, Stuart, that I think that same year he won the British Touring Car Championship?
Was that not 64?
Was it 64?
64.
Oh, that spoilt that then.
The old days.
Never mind.
64.
He was pretty good at touring cars.
He was. Yes. The interesting thing is, and what makes that era now, apart from the fact that era, the 60s, 70s, even into the early 80s, was extremely dangerous. They were gladiatorial drivers, but he would seamlessly go from a saloon car, a touring car, into what was called a single-seater car, and he would tackle and he would go across to America with Colin Chapman, who of course was the founder of Lotus in the early 1950s, the designer of the car, which ultimately proved successful in winning the Indianapolis race. And they were the ideal combination of this sort of ingenious, dynamic but risk-taking owner and a driver who was clean, smooth, and was incredibly reliable. And if the car wasn't going to break down, I mean, I think Jim Clark was only left with about 2 laps worth of fuel in the car after he finished at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a number of times he was second, Jim Clark, or didn't finish a race, and in both cases because of technical problems, not his own.
And that quite often happened at Monaco.
Quite often.
Because that was one thing he never achieved.
Was it later in 65 or not, maybe the year after, that he also, of course, got involved in rallying, and at one point was in the top 10 of the Scottish rally itself, which in those days was a major event with all the famous Finnish drivers there, Hanna Mikkola and all various names that everyone, Stig Blomqvist and so on, and he was at one point in top 10 until I think he crashed in the Tunnocks. So this amazing ability. I was speaking to Doug Niven earlier on there, and he still can't go over the fact that his cousin had this astounding ability to move from one car to another. And hello, Stuart, and he's waving to me, and.
I'm waving to Sheila. She's
he's
behind
waving
you.
to Sheila, right?
She's behind you.
I'm being sabotaged from behind, as they say. No, I mean that's the amazing thing about, and why people, famously, of course, Top Gear rated him the greatest driver of all time, which you feel is something for them to say that, because of different age, different time. How can you compare, for starting with Jimmy Clark or Jackie Stewart or whatever, but the fact that he was so successful in an age where we're just beginning to get to hang with the technical aspects of cars without using computers and all the kind of things they have nowadays. And Jimmy used his ear and to say something wrong, there's a wee bolt loose in the back axle there or something, and that's what made him such a remarkable driver to all his peers, all the ones who drove at the same time.
So that's something to look forward to, isn't it? On the 29th of June, Jim Clark, all things Jim Clark, and Duns Castle as well for a special programme. And don't forget, in 2 weeks' time, we're all going to get together at the Royal Highland Show in Ingliston in Edinburgh, and we're certainly looking forward to that. That's a fantastic event, isn't it, Stuart?
It is indeed, and just as a little segue, going back to what we're talking about before, and I'll bring Hugh in on this, Ingliston, of course, as a track celebrating what its 60th year coming again at mid-1960s. It was developed because Charter Hall and Winfield, two airfields in Berwickshire, were used extensively during the 50s and early 60s, attracted into the tens of thousands of spectators as with no perimeter, no barriers and nothing like that, and some really high profile drivers. I think Reg Parnell still holds the record around Winfield, so you're going back 60, 70 years. But Hugh, I was going to ask you, John Cleland's a driver you know and I've interviewed many, many times from the Borders, and when he won the British Touring Car Championship, he was so delighted to have his name on a trophy that also included Jim Clark.
He was indeed, and I spoke to him about that on a couple of occasions, Stuart. And actually talking about Ingliston, of course, there were plans for Ingliston to become the second racing circuit in Scotland after Knockhill, but sadly those plans never came to fruition. I think it was down to money. And although they use it for the Royal Highland Show and obviously for concerts and things, it's quite sad that the only other thing they really use it for is for young drivers to train them and go around that very small track that they've got. But it would have made a fantastic race circuit.
But it was Scotland's race circuit before Knockhill.
Before Knockhill.
I attended Ingliston many a time, and indeed the week after Jim Clark was killed, they had a meeting planned at Ingliston, and before it started it was almost like a church service took place because everyone was still in deep shock. And Jim Clark had, of course, been... I don't know if he actually raced at Ingliston himself.
He did. Well, he raced milk floats.
Yes, right.
Around
that's right. The
that
famous
sort of
one, yeah.
Comical sort of farmers, milk Ingliston.
Yeah,
and it was
right.
this race around the track with milk
but
floats.
Ingliston was certainly a circuit and famous for...
So what sort of races did they have there?
Well, minis and even the big Formula cars, not Formula 1, but Formula, whatever they called them in those days.
And Grand Touring cars, because Doug Niven wiped out the toilets.
With the Border Reivers VW, amazing car, which still exists, no doubt somewhat repaired by now, but famously, yes, he, on the back straight at Ingliston, somersaulted through the men's toilets. I'm not quite sure anyone was in it at that time, but certainly if there had been, it would have been a reasonable shock. Yeah. But he still laughs at that. But anyway, thankfully nothing too untoward came of that. But Ingliston was the place to be. I used to be a relatively regular. Of course, I was hardly alive at the time.
Why did it fall out of favour then, Grahame?
Well, because it. Well, I think a double thing. Somebody wanted to develop Knockhill, which was much more space to do it, and more for parking and everything else, more room for parking. And I'm not quite sure of the exact history of how it evolved, but certainly Ingliston got a bit too tight and difficult, and because it was a very tight circuit, as you say, it's using something that still exists, some of the actual roads and lanes that they use in the Highlands. We'll be seeing in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and we'll be swapping motor sport with animals with 4 feet.
Different kind of horsepower. Oh dear, I've never heard that.
Bulls and horses, it's all going to happen. So we're looking forward to that. The Royal Highland Show, loads and loads of things happening there as well. And I'm particularly looking forward to Grahame MacGregor because he'll be going to the Hoolie afterwards and performing on stage. So that's going to be something which is well worth the admission money. So look out for us Saturday, 21st of June, live from the Royal Highland Show in Edinburgh, and going from something serious to something a little bit more light-hearted. And have you come up with the answer yet, by any chance, Hugh?
Well, it's not often I say this. In fact, Graham's iPad has just switched off. Here we are.
I have the information in front of me, just in case.
August 72, followed by in December 72 by Getting a Drag, which reached number 18, which is not really a big hit.
Oh, come on. You'd love a number 18 hit, wouldn't you?
I'd love
Let's
any
be honest. And then it was Won't Somebody Dance With Me?
Yep.
And those were the three on MAM. And then, even before your one, Ooh I Do was on Warner Brothers, and then No Honestly came out on Jet. Am I right?
You are, and the last top 40 hit she had?
My Man and Me.
That was the one. And
that was a Paul Nicholls theme tune to Good Friends, wasn't it? Paul Nicholas?
Just
the
Good
actor?
Friends.
Just Good Friends, that's right. And but My Man and Me was a television programme as well, so there's a theme tune there as well.
That was Richard... No, was it Richard O'Sullivan? No. He was in a programme with a similar title.
Yeah, Grahame MacGregor would think it would be Peter O'Sullivan, probably, but no. And of course, our last hit, as we all know, Rock Bottom, on another label, Polydor, so she certainly spread them about, that's for sure. Seven-piece band Darts, and before that Daniel Boone with a song that didn't achieve the chart success you would have expected from the amount of airplay that it got. Now, one of the big attractions here at the BVAC Festival of Motoring is the hill racing, and Grahame MacGregor has been finding out more.
One of the events taking part at the BVAC this year, as it has for several years now, is the Hill Rally, a very popular event. And I've got with me Rupert Hind, who's the Deputy Clerk of the course, and behind us we see all assortment of various Land Rovers, etc. about to head off. Tell us all about the Hill Rally scene, Rupert.
Yeah, thanks. Well, hill rallying, it's a bit like stage rallying, so most people will know stage rallying through the forests. But if you then make it three-dimensional, so this is truly off-road. It's everything from farm tracks through forests, through to open grassland, bits of unbroken woodland, where there's tracks through the middle. So it's very much a driver's challenge because it's all about reading the ground. Going fast is one thing, but if you don't read the ground and drive to the conditions, then it really trips you up. So it's a bit of an endurance sport. You have all the timing that you'd see in stage rallying, so the guys have got to keep to a time schedule, and it's very much a test of competitor, service crew and the machine. So here, the Tunnocks Scottish Summer Hill Rally, we've got just under 40 competitors who are about a day and a half into this. Over the course of these 2 days, they're driving about 150 miles on the roads between the stages. That's very carefully managed to keep them well below the speed limit. They get lots of penalties if they get anywhere near it. And then 85 miles or so of off-road special stage.
And so here at Thirlestane, this is one of your special stages.
And this is absolutely one of our special stages. So in front of the crowd, each of the cars, they're coming out of some service time. They've been tinkering, maintaining the cars. They're setting off at minute intervals behind us, down the stage in front of the crowd, turning to the left and then heading off through the trees where there's a couple of slightly more extreme off-road challenges for them. And then when they come out the other end, off they go and do another stage elsewhere.
So they're not exactly vintage cars, of course. Some of these are very new cars indeed, but they're, shall we say, compared with even your average rally car, they're pretty robust looking vehicles.
They are, and there's a real variety of cars here. So everything from those cars that people have put together lovingly themselves in their sheds, to some pretty high technical standards, but it really is clubman engineering, through to the sort of works team type stuff. There are cars here whose value's well in the six figures. They're very, very well engineered vehicles.
Yes, that kind of mirrors your normal road rallying type situation as well, where you get amateurs at the end of the field and top paid professionals perhaps at the top.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's always attracted me to the cross-country scene, and particularly hill rally, is it's very much a sort of family affair. And you'll have seen through service, there's definitely families here. There's quite a few kids around the service areas being looked after by the parents, and it's a real group of friends who come together and come and play.
And as it's now becoming a regular feature here, sort of joined on, as it were, to the BVAC. And what kind of test is it here in this kind of parkland here at Thirlestane?
So the Thirlestane's really interesting because it, as a stage, it gives us a little bit of almost everything. So we've got the open parkland that gets people to get up some decent speed. It has some interesting undulations, even in just the short space in front of the crowd here. There's one or two nasty little bumps that help to unseat them. But then as they go back out the track, there's some good, fast gravel track, and then they're into some really quite extreme, almost off-road trial sections. So they're definitely not going fast through them. It's a test of them reading the route and between the trees and over the stumps and round the back before they head out on another blast through to the flying finish.
So this is a 2-day event, is it?
It's a 2-day event. As I say, the guys are coming towards, they're about 2/3 of the way through day 2 at the moment, and later on this afternoon then this section here will reverse. And once the final stage here is completed, we'll start to see the first competitors come back into the finish.
Is it mainly in the borders that the actual overall event has been staged?
Yeah, so I mean the event this weekend is pretty much this side of Sutra and down as far as just this side of Galashiels, and so we're in a reasonably compact area. By the time they finish, they'll have done 17 stages. As I say, they've done a fair old mileage. The competitors are going to be pretty tired at the end of all of that. Their service crews will be absolutely exhausted with keeping the cars going. And we've got a veritable army of volunteers. You know, like pretty much every motorsport event, it's staffed entirely by volunteers. And, you know, we've got some really good volunteers out there on the hills who've been sat out there for a day and a half now, and a group of them who've been out on the hills since Monday building the course.
That's excellent, Rupert. And you're very happy to be part of this BVAC weekend?
It's superb. You know, I mean, what's not to like about being part of a group of people who are celebrating all that motoring heritage has got to offer in the UK? You know, there's some incredible vehicles elsewhere in the show. The guys who do eventually clinch the win here will be off through to the main ring later on in the afternoon to receive their prizes, and then we'll have another little gathering back here afterwards for all of our winners. But yeah, I mean it's you just see the people here, and it's, you know, we've got some of the guys who were marshalling yesterday are through exhibiting with some of their vehicles across in the show. It's just a celebration of all that's good in motoring.
And it's certainly an impressive sight, isn't it? Tunnocks sponsoring the Hill Rally. And talking of Tunnocks, Hugh Brown made a beeline for their stand.
Well, I'm with David Brown from Tunnocks, and we'll talk about the beautiful vehicle that's beside us in a moment. But David, Tunnocks, a name that's been around since 1890.
Yes, that's right. Tunnocks started in 1890, still a family business, and the man in charge is Sir Boyd Tunnock, who's in his 90s now and still in his work every day, and other members of his family are all in the business as well. Still a family business. Been built up over the years. We make over 8 million caramel wafers a week, and we export to 36 countries. And we make other biscuits as well, but very proud of the fact. And they're still the original size. We haven't shrunk them. So
no shrinkflation.
No shrinkflation, as the advert says.
It's amazing that I think the caramel wafer was invented in 1948. So it's been, and then slightly after that, the caramel log and the tea cake too.
I think it was early 50s, mid 50s. That's right. They all come out round about then. Sir Boyd Tunnock, he developed them, and it's the kind of mainstay of the business now is the biscuit side. We still have a shop in Uddingston, and we make bakery items, cakes, buns, bread, steak pies for our local shop. But if anybody's in Uddingston, welcome to come in and buy some of the product. They're handmade every day, you know, for the shop. So wonderful shop, wonderful stuff.
Do you know, it's one of the things that when people emigrate, wherever they go over the world, it's one of the things that they miss most is Tunnocks products.
It is. We get a lot of that. People are expats coming back and get their pictures taken outside the factory, or they meet you and say, we miss these, and they've got their cases packed with, you know, an 8-pack of caramel wafers and caramel logs, bottom of their suitcase to take back to wherever they're going, you know, because a lot of them really do miss that, you know, they miss the biscuits, and they thoroughly enjoy coming back, you know, and get a taste of Scotland again. You know,
what do you think it is about the Tunnocks products that makes them so special?
They've never changed the quality of the product. We've never changed that. We've never shrunk the biscuits, which a lot of people appreciate. The size of them is the exact same they've been for 70, 80 years, never altered the size, and we make them with the best of ingredients, and we control everything very strictly, you know, the quality of everything that comes out of the factory. So, you know, I think people just appreciate that nowadays, and it is a good product, you know, people like them, you know, so we sell so many. You know.
Certainly is. I love them. I'll be taking some of the some samples away with me, I'll tell you.
Yes, well, there's plenty behind you.
There won't be by the time I'm finished, I'll tell you. Just finally then, David, tell me about this wonderful vehicle which you drive, I believe. What kind of vehicle is it?
It's called a Fleur de Lis. It was built for us about just over 40 years ago to look like a late 20s, early 30s vehicle. It has a Ford engine in it when it was built, which allows us to use it daily, but the rest of the vehicle is as near as we get to a 20 specification, and it gets much admired. We use it for promotional things, and people just love to see it, get their pictures taken with it, and it's all sign written, as you can see, in the traditional old-fashioned way. It's all hand done, the old telephone numbers and everything on it as well, so, but it creates a lot of stir in the road, and you get a lot of peeps and waves from people when you're driving. It's just nice to drive it, you know. But we go around supermarkets and places like that with it on requests and shows like this, which are very popular, as you can see by the queue of people around it. But it does very well. It's been a great asset for us, a great promotional vehicle, so long may it continue. So,
well, thanks for talking to me, David. I'm off to get my Tunnocks samples now.
Well, you better be quick. Turn round quick. We'll put you ahead of the queue.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you very much.
Thank you.
I've never seen Hugh Brown move so fast in all my life, and he's got his goodie bag here, sorry, goodie sack, goodie van, and his goodie boot in the car as well. Let's delve back into my own archives and a chat with Dennis Locorriere of Dr. Hook, who had the pleasure of doing a documentary with back in 1992 in Oxford, which is still available on YouTube, should you wish to have a little look. And one of the obvious questions I asked him was, what was his favourite song?
You asked me what song people request the most, and your guest was Sylvia's mother, and that's probably what most people would guess, but quite honestly they request another song more, and I'm not sure, maybe it's because they identify with it more, because Sylvia's mother was about a guy in a phone booth, and unless you've been locked in a phone booth running out of change, maybe you don't relate to that song, but everybody seems to relate to this song. It's a song called If Not You. I guess this is not a real 90s male kind of song, but I wrote it in the 70s, folks, so give me a break. Who's gonna water my plants? Who's gonna patch my pants? And who's gonna give me the chance to feel brand new? Who's gonna iron my shirts? And who's gonna kiss where it hurts? And who needs a man when he flirts the way I do? Who, if not you? Gonna wake me on time? Who's gonna say I look fine? And who's gonna stay on my mind the whole day through? Who's gonna see that I'm fed? And who's gonna want me in bed? But who'll watch TV instead because I do? Who, if not you? If not you, oh, if not you.
Wonderful song, one of my all-time Dr. Hook favourites. So that's interesting, that's one of the most requested.
Yeah, it is, and it's funny because when I first wrote that song, I wrote it really quickly, just based on a personal thing that was happening to me, and it was so personal to me that I didn't believe that anybody else would relate to it. and I was kind of like embarrassed to show it to anybody at first. And it's been one of the most, enduring songs. And it's kind of interesting because what I said before about it not being the typical male 90s song, it's because, now women are more independent than, I'm not, hey, you iron your shirt yourself. And the guys, there's been this role kind of reversal and different things happen. But I think really basically every guy, in his weakest moments, he needs somebody to be there. And a lot of women, would like to be that to that person. So I never found that song. Some people said it was sexist and it was stuff, but I never found that. I always found that it was a guy who was totally related, dependent on his lady. And I think that happens a lot now. I just think they admit it less.
But right now we're going back outside again and a little bit of off-road with Stuart McFarlane.
Okay, I'm Robbie. I'm here with the Scottish Off-Road Club. We run events all around Scotland for people who have a capable 4x4 and they just want to see what it can do, or they want to compete against other cars and drivers. We do treasure hunts, kind of orienteering style events and trials. We've got a bunch of cars here on the stand today, 8. A few Land Rovers as well as non-Land Rover cars. It's the sort of club where you can pretty much bring anything that's 4x4 and just see what it can do.
Are any of them, because I'm looking around and it suggests that some perhaps have been road cars or road vehicles at one time and then have been deliberately modified to deal with off-road terrain?
Yeah, that's right. We've got some homemade things here, essentially kit cars, which are extremely capable. And they're either two... One of them here is very much just been put together out of lots of spare parts, and another one is a Jimny that's had an actual body kit put on it, as well as just your standard road SUVs, 4x4s.
I don't know if you're old enough to remember the A-Team, but it looks as if Baracus has attempted to modify one or two, but I'm sure they're all extremely effective off-road, and that then provides the competition, I suppose. Which one is faster or more adaptable than the other?
Rather than speed, it's more about crossing a piece of terrain that we kind of build a course on, and the competition element is getting from one end of the course to the other. Rather than the fastest time, it's clambering over the obstacles and through the mud, and up slopes, down slopes, around trees, that kind of thing. And we do a lot of recovery as well, which is all part of the fun when people get stuck and then figuring out how to get them out again.
I can well imagine, particularly if the conditions are wet and you're dealing with mud, that's no easy task.
That's right, yes. And even wet grass can provide a surprisingly difficult obstacle at times.
The people that you're attracting now, I suppose it can be very varied. It can be work colleagues, it can be teams from work, it could be, social friends, it could be family members. So you can cast your net pretty far and wide and be guaranteed interest from somewhere.
Yeah, a lot of people end up coming to the club because they happen to have a Land Rover Discovery or a Land Cruiser, and they just want to see what it's capable of. So we do run events where we make the chance of damaging the car an absolute minimum, but you're still able to see what it can do when you put it up against what it's been designed to do. Yeah, because these cars are extremely clever, but they don't often get a chance to use their abilities.
Yeah, if they're on tarmac Adam roads, or if they're driving through towns or on motorways or that, it's very standardised driving then.
That's right, exactly. Whereas we're able to get access to bits of land where we're really able to have fun in these cars in a safe way and a way that's not going to damage them.
So finally, you're at Thirlestane Castle today. Where do you pitch up next?
Our next event's in Fife, in Upper Largo, which is just next weekend. That's where we're running a trial. And then we're down back near here, near Roberton.
Just outside Hoyk?
Yeah, that's right. And then up to Locorriere the month after. We run an event every month. And we really try and dot them around so that nobody's got to go too far.
Yeah, make it Scotland-wide.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Yep, thank you.
Well, Stuart McFarlane earlier on talking off-road racing, and he's back in the studio now, and he's with the man who started off the programme here, Keith Watson.
Yes, BVAC chair Keith Watson with me now. Keith, you're cutting a relaxed figure, sitting there quite happy with it all.
I think it's relief. It's the day's gone very well. We've had a fabulous day. The weather's held. The quality of the vehicles has been incredible, and the whole spectator experience has been great.
Of course, you've talked before about the static vehicles, but also you had the hill climb as well, the hill race, and you've details of the overall winner. Is that right?
I don't have details of the overall winner of the hill race. I didn't bring that because they handle their own thing.
I see.
What I do have
You have winners with you, though.
I have winners with me. I have the best in show.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So we have several classes, about 15 in total, and there's been prize winners in each class. But the overall best in show goes to a 1937 Rolls-Royce Phantom 3 owned by Mr. S. Bodis, and it was an immaculate car. There was about 3 vehicles in the running, but I think he had polished it a bit more and it shone a bit better than some of the others, but it was a beautiful car.
And is a lot of the judging based around the presentation then of the vehicle, inside and out?
Yes, we don't do a concourse. That's... we don't believe that people should be turning up with highly polished cars on trailers that have never driven in the roads for years. These are all vehicles that people use and drive here, and it just stood out, and it was an immaculate motor.
And this being the 50th year, we talked about 1972 and the humble beginnings. It's been an excellent way then to mark such a momentous occasion as this.
Yes, I mean in the 71 class, it was in the 70s class. It was a 1971 Rover P6B that won that class. Right there in the middle of the 70s it was, and it's just been fabulous.
Well, thank you very much for popping in once again to speak to us. I know you've been very busy, and we certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for your time as well.
And there we are, Stuart McFarlane there. And I think we can go out one more time and join Hugh Brown.
I'm with Murray DooGood from the Land Rover Experience Scotland. Murray, tell us exactly what that is then.
So Land Rover Experience Scotland, when you buy a new or an approved used Land Rover product from a dealer, you get a free half-day voucher to come and play at our 300-acre site up at Dunkeld in Perthshire.
Wow, that must be fun.
It is. It's absolutely brilliant. You've got a bit of uphills, downhills, side slopes, water. It's fantastic. We'll show you the true capability and composure of the vehicle.
Who buys Land Rovers? I mean, obviously we know that the farmers use them day on day, but does Joe Public buy a Land Rover, or are they more into, say, Range Rovers?
Oh no, anybody can buy a Land Rover. That's the thing. It's a versatile vehicle for everybody, all walks of life. We get everybody from the mums and dads to the farmers, professors, and anybody who's saved up all their money and decided they want to buy a Land Rover. It's fantastic.
They are expensive, but obviously a lot of people will buy them second, third or even fourth hand, won't they?
That's true, yes. We do get quite a lot of the previews through. So like the Heritage one here that we've got just now is the old 110 Heritage, last made in 2015. Where we've got the right hand side one here with what was made in 2024, and you can see the difference, and we get all walks of life coming to us to drive them.
What is so special about a Land Rover, would you say?
It's the heritage. It's the heritage. It's been going since 1948. They're reliable. They get you everywhere, through the rain, through the snow, the ice. You can go safari with them, put a rooftop tent on them, fridge in the back. You can live out of one.
But, aren't they known as a bit of a yuppie thing, or they were, certainly in the 90s and 2000s, were they not?
Oh, I couldn't comment on that. I've had one for years. I started off with a Series 2A, 1969, and I've actually, my wife's actually just recently bought a new one, a new 110. But no, they're for everybody. They really are.
And the other thing that you do with the Land Rover Experience Scotland is you offer gift vouchers and things for people to go up to Dunkeld and do those special days.
We do, yes. We offer everything from an hour drive to the young off-roader, which is for 11 to 17-year-olds. We do quad bikes, we do hour drives in the heritage, full days, half days, and we also do camping and trek days as well.
Have a good day. Thanks for chatting to me. It's nice to speak to you.
You too. Thanks very much, Hugh.
Gary Newman and Cars. Well, our second programme on Summer Breeze will be in a couple of weeks' time when we're live from the Royal Highland Show. That's on Saturday, the 21st of June. But to go out with, let's play the classic from the Isley Brothers, from Stuart Cameron and the team. A very good night.